Hello, Internet. Welcome back. Welcome back to episode 3 of Secrets Worth Dying For, Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition campaign based on the latest pre-written adventure by Wizards of the Coast, Icewind Dale, Rime of the Frost Maiden, set up in the wonderful Arctic wasteland around 10 towns. Hello, viewers. Hello, chat. Hello, players. Hello, everyone. Couple of quick comments and mentions before we crack on. We're going to be jumping straight in. We are missing our giant rogue this evening. He will be returning next week, but he will be missed. But he is things dealing with, and things are busy, so we'll be jumping in the game next week. A couple of things. We have a couple of big thank yous for people affiliated with the channel. We have Dice of the Beholder, Ruffworx, Sawdust Swearwords, who continue to support the channel from the early doors and continue making awesome stuff. If you want to know more bits and pieces around what they get up to, check out Heavyweight Gaming on Facebook and the rest of our social media channels. Check them out, see what they craft, see what they put together, see what wonderful goodness they can produce, and give them a like and a follow. Got a recent sponsor, not of this show specifically, but of Heavyweight Gaming, and that is Loke Battle Maps. They create both physical and online battle maps for use with tabletop. They create the huge A3 ones, the A2 ones, laminated maps that you can use for physical games. They're dry wipes, you can write on them, all different environments and settings. I think there's about 4 or 5 different ones now that they do, including some big like full table battle maps, and they also do digital versions as well. We're using the giant book of battle maps on this show as we go forward, and if you watch some of the other shows, you'll see some of the digital maps that they put together through Roll20. So, hi everyone in the chat. Hi Sawdust and Swearwords. See you in there. Hi everyone else. So, quick recap of where we are at with the current shenanigans of adventuring. I have way too many screens open. There we go. All right. So, for those who've behind on the times, we are in 10 towns, the confederacy of towns set up north of the spine of the world mountain range, far north of the Sword Coast in Faerun. Past Baldur's Gate, past Neverwinter, keep heading north, and eventually, when it gets cold enough, you'll find yourself in Icewind Dale itself. It's pretty cut off from the world. It's very isolated, and these towns have been set up from prospectors, farriers, loggers, fishermen, adventuring types, explorers, mountaineers, and people looking to earn a bit of coin on the very, very fringe of the world, or to lay low and stay out of harm's way and kind of restart their life away from prying eyes. 5 companions have all been brought together after befalling on hard times, as the 10 towns are currently in the midst of embraced in an eternal night. Auril, the Frost Maiden, has dropped the world, at least this part of the world, into a everlasting twilight nighttime where the sun does not rise, night is prolonged, and the ramifications have been felt by the townsfolk. Crops aren't growing, lakes are not thawing, and blizzards and the usually harsh winds are getting harsher still. And it leaves people down on their luck. Their usual trade is drying up. Tourism and merchants and trade routes are proving less fruitful. Through their own various means, they've come together to earn a bit of coin, and they've banded around a young goblin, Elkis, who recently, his companion, his sort of mother figure in his life, was unfortunately found dead. And on investigating and asking around, hadn't really got anywhere. Had headed to the capital, Bryn Shandar, to ask around, see what was going on. And you found an old lady, Holna, who informed you about some murders, a spree of killings that had happened across East Haven, Targos, and Bryn Shandar itself. And Elkis believed that they may be connected. So recruited a few of you, either through your own warmth of heart or greed for coin or other ulterior motives, but you did decide to band together and head out and start asking some questions. You briefly took a diversion to help some dwarven prospectors recover a pallet, if you will, of iron. Ran into some goblins and had a little brawl out in the north. Found yourselves your caravan that has now been driven by gentle steps and pulled by two seemingly friendly at this point polar bears. You made the decision to head out to the westerly route back out the way you came towards one of the other large walled towns of the Confederacy called Targus, where you are on the trail of a caravan led by a Torga, a merchant her name seems to be cropping up a few times in your investigations. So that is where we are going to be picking up. It is mid-morning. The caravan, led by gentle steps. You hear the occasional kind of command and the reins being pulled and the sort of bear noises of your polar bears as they slowly trudge across this. Feels like evening. It's you haven't been awake for that long. It's still early morning, but the conditions outside, or it's not actively snowing. The wind's picking up. The snow is crunchy, but everything is in this permanent evening, dark, overcast, nearly threatening to turn to night all the time. None of you have seen proper sunshine in probably 18 months. Excuse me. And yeah, the day is young. You are being pulled in your caravan that you acquired from the bunch of goblins, and you are heading westward. You pass the junction that you took the right the night before when you headed up the Dwarven Trail. And this time it pulls left as you start approaching the town of Targus. Is there anything you would like to do? Anything you would like to act upon while you are on this journey?
How long are we going to be on the road for again?
You've probably been on the road maybe about 2.5 hours at this point. It's probably approaching lunchtime. You can see Targus in the distance. It's a, if I have to remind myself what shape it is. The problem with 10 towns is there's 10 of them. There we go. Okay, so you are heading in off the junction. You can see this big full wall, stone wall pavilion that completely encompasses the side of Targus that you're approaching from. You can't see over it. There just seems to be a gatehouse to the left-hand side. You're probably about an hour away. You can see it in the distance. And then drifting out behind Targus, you can see the edges of Mare Dwalden, one of the 3 large lakes.
Before we ended last time, I said that Vale was going to keep an eye out for any sort of game that she might be able to shoot whilst we're on the trail. Did I manage to find anything?
I'm rolling perception.
Hey. 18.
Okay, you do keep your eyes open. There's nothing that immediately... You don't notice anything out of the ordinary. The weather is calm. The sky is dark. All traces of your route that you take from the night before is buried under fresh snow. It seems quiet. There's no one else around. You can't see any evidence of anyone else tracking. There's the occasional animal footprints of varying sizes. But no, it's quiet, it's peaceful, and the only noise you have is the slow creaking of the wheels and the general noise of you heading forward.
Okay.
I'd be kind of keeping an eye out on the bears, just watching them if they start getting a little nippy.
Yeah, at some point, one of us is probably going to need to go hunting to find them something to eat, because I don't think they've eaten yet today.
Okay, so
we actually don't know when they've eaten last.
Fed them this morning.
Yeah,
oh yeah, that's right.
So as you start pulling towards Targus, you can make a little bit more of it out. You can see unfurled across the wall a couple of their banners, which is this deep kind of pastel blue with a black ship in the center of it, which is the town crest of Targus. Targus, you would know, is one of the larger towns. It's one of the 3 walled towns. It is very well known for its fishing. Part of the wall itself goes out into the lake and acts as a walled, safe area for the boats and harbor ships to moor. You will know that the majority of this lake has been frozen over for quite a long time, which has made pretty much all transport via the lake nigh impossible. There are some small holes that have been broken into the ice where the fishermen have done their very best to keep things going the best they can. But a lot of the boats have been abandoned or pulled up onto the ice shelf and have been unused for some time. You know that the town does have a standing militia. One of the few towns that does have a semblance of a guard. The town speaker is a person named Nerth Maxiltanar, who you know as a male human, who has run the town for the last 2-3 years. And yeah, he runs it quite strictly. He takes a big pride on defense and has a standing militia that is run by a couple of key lieutenants who tend to patrol around and rotate the fishermen, who each take their turn in the militia before going back to their day jobs, as it were. The snow-covered path breaks way to kind of a gravel road as you start approaching Targus. The gatehouse is open. There's a few people kind of out about. Some are emptying their wares and fish waste. There's piles of kind of fish bones and things, and there's scraps of broken wood that seem to be getting piled out, loaded onto carts. A few people are talking amongst each other. Seems fairly busy. It's not as big or as grand as Bryn Shandar, but it's definitely a step above a lot of the towns in the area. You pull the caravan up. There is a mooring post just to the outside of the wall. You can see a couple of wagons, most of which are buried under snow, or at least look unused for a couple of days. But it seems as good a place as any as to pull the caravan up.
Does it see any horses stood there?
Roll a perception check for me, sir.
There's a town in front of me. That would be a 3.
Yes, you don't see any. You'll say they seem unused. From your experience, travel's difficult, trade's dried up. A lot of it is just echoes of what the town used to be, more than a busy fishing port that it once was.
Yeah, it's a note for the bears to bother.
No, yeah, I think we'd be okay leaving them here.
Yeah, let's moor them up. I'm sure they'll be fine on a mooring post.
We can come back and
Thank-
check on them every so often. Be okay.
Okay. So, the wagon is pulled up. Gentle steps will hop off the wagon, reach into his bag and pull out some dried meats and start fussing over the bears. I will make the suggestion to source some food and to get them sorted out and looked after while you guys ask around and do whatever business you want to do in the town.
Cool.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah, sounds like a good idea.
Well, hopefully this is a fishing town, so I'm sure we can find plenty of fish for polar bears to eat.
Mm.
Yeah, that's the plan.
You know.
Look, if you lot want to ask questions around, you do the talking thing and I'll go find some food, keep these chaps happy. Don't want to be eating the little one. Do it, boss.
No, definitely not. I'll pull my mask up.
Look, try and keep
Let's go in.
your sense out of trouble, and we'll meet up towards the end of the day.
Okay, look after these bears, dental ducks.
I will.
I'm gonna wonder who's been looking after who at the end of the day.
Yeah,
The bears of him or him of the bears.
I feel like he maybe has, he shares more with the bears than he might share with some of us.
On a 24 stealth check, he vanishes into the crowd.
So we'll want to find out where this person was murdered, who this person was, And if this trader's turned up here,
Mhm.
it's sort
Well-
of the general gist.
The local tavern, in my experience, is a good place to start.
Yep, to
I
the
assume
beers.
there are a few, but
Pub sounds great.
yeah.
Always. Lead the way.
Okay.
Does anyone
So,
go with the town? Like, no.
that's a good question. Has anyone been to Targus before?
I've been around. Hop from pub to pub, sometimes in a slightly delirious state, but how much of it I can actually remember.
Okay, so you would know that the town is split pretty much. Imagine kind of like a yin yang symbol, right? Like a curved S split. It's pretty circular, but the center is kind of broken where the waterfront is. So half of the walled town is actually on the lake, where they kind of have this big walled marina, which is probably that walled off part of the lake is as big as the town itself, almost. The population is around 1,000. There are 3 known taverns: the Triglio, the 3 Flags Sailing, and the Luskan Arms. Sorry, that's a lie. There are 2 taverns: the 3 Flags Sailing and the Luskan Arms. The Triglio is the blacksmith. Or it doubles as like a general store. It's like where you would go to get things like boat materials, ropes, rigging fixed, tools and harpoons, and fishing equipment repaired, and functional adventuring type stuff would be stocked there.
So what you're saying is they might sell pints.
I mean, the tavern probably is your best shot if you're looking for pints.
To be
But yeah,
tried.
so they're the three places that you are aware of. You would know from local knowledge, the Luskan Arms tends to be quite an upmarket place. It's where the town speaker lives. He lives in the upper floors, and the bottom is a tavern. It's a little bit more, as far as 10 towns goes, a respectable clientele. It's a little bit more expensive. People tend to be a little bit more closely guarded with their stories and secrets, whereas the 3 Flags Sailing is a bit more of a fisherman navy type, a bit more rowdy, a bit more of a working man style establishment.
Sounds like we should start there.
Lead the way. I have no idea where we're going.
We're going to the rowdy pub.
If I do remember, just from my adventures, popping from place to place, yeah, I can lead the way. Do I remember? Is the question.
Yeah, it's not a huge town. There's maybe 5 or 6 main streets. It's kind of clusters of housing. But you know the 3 Flags Sailing is near the docks. The docks pretty much cover, like, bisects the town in half. So you get about halfway in town, then it's just the entire docks going end to end, from wall to wall, and then the rest you can see the water going out, and then the wall around it.
Head there then.
That might be the best place to start. I think the
Yeah.
uptight people might not be of much service at the moment. Give them until later in the day.
Mm,
And get a few more pints in them.
the shady spot might be more accepting of small green elves like myself.
No, we're wrong. Everywhere in 10 towns is shady. It's just different degrees of shadiness.
The fancy shady.
It's fancy shady. Yeah,
and
fancy
rowdy
shady.
But they're a little more like
Don't get me wrong.
like
In any place
Yeah.
in 10 towns, you want to keep your money tight. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those places where things go missing, people get into altercations. It's just how likely that is going to happen depends on where you want to go.
We've let dental steps loose in the town, so shouldn't be long.
so the demure place, and then we have the
You see
Very
buildings
nice.
catch fire in the distance and alarms going.
That's the spot, guys.
Yeah. Let's
Once
go
you-
to the shady
Let's go grab
spot.
a cheeky bite for
It's
good
like
morning.
I will point out it is about midday at this point. And
Perfect
just
time for a
heads up, from this morning, you may have remembered that your water canteens froze over.
Frozen. Mm.
I've been sat on mine in the caravan.
Yours will partly defrosted.
Cool.
But
I think that I'm going to take is something like fire-based to warm things up.
But yeah, it is about -20 is ambient temperature everywhere you go, just to give you the idea.
Okay.
It's brisk.
I'm sure we can replace water, hopefully, at this lovely establishment that we're about to go to.
Question is, do we really want to replace the water at this semi-lovely establishment? Or do we wait till we get the slightly more semi-lovely establishment?
Why don't we see when we get there?
Yeah.
Okay, so you heading to the Three Flag Sailing?
Yeah.
Okay. You make your way through town. You do come across, you get towards the docks. Those who've been to Targus before, it's quieter. There are still activity going on the docks. You see people. The actual encased part of the lake where the walls come around is completely frozen solid. And what you remember being this huge, impressive marina is now just sheet ice with patches of snow, boats frozen in place. Normally you have those kind of like wobble as the boats kind of wobble on the tide and kind of drift side to side. Like nothing, it's still. The boats are locked in place. You see a few people have pulled kind of more skiffs and pulled like rowboats and pulled them up onto the ice and dragged them from the harbour entrance several hundred feet to where they're moored. And you can see small groups of heavily huddled up, wrapped up fisher folk heading out onto the ice. A few of them you can see have in the distance have drilled holes in the ice and seem to be ice fishing. You see a few others sat on the docks attaching crampons to their boots ready to head out. So there's a little bit of activity, but gone is the big bustling crates of fish being handed over, knucklehead trout being stacked up into boxes getting ready to be shipped to market. It's a little bit somber. It's nice to see people are still making a run of it, but it's definitely a shadow of its former self. You walk up to the front of the Three Flag Sailing. It is a single-story building. It's got this very, very steep angled roof, and the roof seems to be void of snow, but it's these two big mounds of snow. So it gives the whole thing a very odd look. It's like a big triangle. It's like a Christmas tree shape as the snow's worked its way up as it runs off the roof. You see the sign of Targus's crest, the purple shield with the black ship flanking the door, and then the door itself is this big double oak pulled door. You can see the windows have kind of frosted over and misted up, but you can see lights inside, and I hear a bit of that low, dull chatter coming through the walls and the door as you approach.
I want to march up to the door, push both open, and step in.
Make a strength check.
That would
Snow
be a 10.
Ooh, just. As he goes in, he kind of loses some momentum. He takes like these two big strides, and as his hands go, you can see there's a moment of resistance. It's like, okay, that's a bit heavier than I thought. He gets through, but he definitely doesn't have the dramatic slam like maybe you were hoping for.
At least colours, that's all I'll say.
The door's open. It's simple. It's simple but homely. There is a fire going in two arbs at either end of the tables or either end of the building. There is a small, modest bar in the corner, and the tables seem to be almost like mess hall. Rather than having individual tables, there's three big, long, kind of extended picnic benches all the way through. You imagine, even though the building is quite modest, it does have a fairly high capacity, and you get the feeling it's kind of when the sailors finish their shift. Once upon a time, this would have been a very kind of busy dockside post-work beverage location. There's a few people in there, a few fisherman types. You can see a few people exchanging drinks and sort of quiet stories. Seems to be quite a subdued atmosphere. There's noises and chats going on, but it's not dramatic, it's not lively. Thank you, Sawdust Swearwords. Donated 200 bits for you lucky people. You've got yourselves a re-roll at some point.
Woohoo! We can only use them on the wagon.
Someone wouldn't let me use one when I leveled up.
No, the party tried to use their re-roll on their HP rolling between levels, which no, quite frankly.
I got 2.
Well, you needed to define what the real for.
We did. We told you we couldn't do it.
We forgot.
Oops.
But thank you for
Yeah.
that.
So you
yeah,
step into this room. It's probably 10 people in at the moment. There's a figure at the bar, like behind the bar, but it's quiet. There's some polite chat. A few people can look over and pay no notice, go back to what they were doing.
is there any music?
No.
Is that because it stopped?
No, it's because there's no music.
When you entered, it stopped. It was like a vinyl scratch.
This doesn't seem the most dramatic entrance I envisioned. I'm gonna wait for the others to join me inside and head to the bar with them, I assume.
Yeah, I'll walk over to the bar with Elkis.
Okay.
I'll jump up on a stool.
You hoist your well practiced and rehearsed. The old two-handed vault up onto a stool. There's a
the back of the group. Just keeping low. Is there anyone around that looks particularly sus?
make an investigation check.
Apart from us, obviously.
Yeah.
You see a dodgy-looking goblin at the bar.
Flinging himself up on the stool.
He looks shady AF.
Flinging open doors everywhere.
I probably won't see much on a 12.
There's a few, like, everyone is dressed in furs. Everyone, by just the climate, everyone looks quite similar. Everyone is wearing cloaks and furs made from the local animals, which are either white polar bears, white or grey coloured reindeer, or those sort of creatures, or otherwise. It's very much a sea of greys and light browns and things. Hoods up. There's a few distinguishing features. You do spot what appears to be a slightly more sort of raucous table. Let me just check who is in this bar. I have so many. There we go. A small piano interlude.
You said there's no music.
I did. There was no piano interlude. What is this guy's goddamn name?
Make it up.
You're a DM. You're supposed to just make up.
I've got his name. No, I want to make sure I've got the race right. You do spot a tiefling. There is a dark-skinned horned tiefling in the corner. Now, tieflings aren't necessarily that uncommon. They're probably as common as elves, more common than goblins. But again, this town is full of all sorts. Some people tend to not ask questions because everyone's got their own question they don't want answering, right? Yeah, there seems to be this armored tiefling in what appears to be plate armor, well maintained. There's a few more people sat on the table, kind of chatting amongst themselves. They seem not lively, but a little bit more animated than other groups. In the kind of around the center on the middle table, you do see a couple of dwarves, a female and a male.
It's gravy time.
Kind of started shaking out their cloaks, and the female's gone and hung it up by one of the hearths. And they seem to be trying to warm themselves by the fire, counting coins out on the table. And there's a few individuals kind of scattered to the rest of the room. Meanwhile, Elkis at the bar. There is a shorter, kind of plump, grey-haired human woman. Kind of has a bit of a mumsy look about her. Looks like very, this very little apron round, and like she's like the bar is immaculate. Like everything is lined up, everything is clean, and she just kind of sat there and she smiles as you approach.
How small is she?
She's human, but she's small for a human. Probably like 5'1", 5'2".
So she's tall then.
Everyone's tall compared to you. To you, she's huge. To everyone else, relatively to a human.
Mother?
Interesting opening gambit.
Funny.
This can only go well.
What drinks do you have on
Yes, dear.
barrel?
We've
What
got
do you serve?
maybe half a keg of the mead from good mead left over. We've got ales. What are you looking for? You old enough to be in here?
I assure you I am old enough. I am at least 9.
Can I do a perception to see if she's old enough to be in it?
Go for it. A deception check from Elkis as well, right?
17.
Yeah, she looks like she's in her 50s.
Fantastic. That make sure.
She's making no attempt to deceive anyone of the fact.
Hey, look at that! I am 9. I assure you, 9 for myself is at least 22 in human years.
What did you roll on your deception check?
That would be a 12.
She kind of looks at you for a second and just kind of, this is very kind of, very subtle, slow kind of nod. Like, almost like a knowing half smile. You're like, well, it'll be.
Mead for myself and whatever my compatriots here would like.
And she looks around at no one else at the bar with you.
I walked up with him.
Oh, sorry.
I walked up behind the rest.
You said you were stood at the entrance, keeping an eye on things.
I'm just waltzing around.
Adri, what do you want?
I don't know why you're shouting. I'm behind you.
Wow.
I'll just have a mead, please.
Mead. That's 2 meads. A pint for me.
She'll stop.
Vale, what are you having? How are you next to me? Vale, what are you having?
Just water for me, please.
Water. And Celine?
Celine, I don't know if I can hear him because I just walked in and kind of just did a little bit of a walk around to see if I knew anybody.
If somebody shouts up, you will.
Even if they go, hey. All my elfish ears will hear them anyway.
At least the whole bar
Just
knows our names
nod.
now.
I'll nod towards the barkeep. I'm pretty sure she knows me quite well.
Hello, dear. You haven't been round back these parts for a while. How are things?
Pretty good, but pretty slow. Just kind of stagnant from town to town instead of rambunctious as usual. How are you?
As good as can be, I suppose. The trade's slow. The few people out on the lakes are coming in here, but it's not like it used to be.
Oh, I see. I'm just gonna slowly lean on the bar, casually in a friendly way.
The drinks
So what's new around here?
The drinks are prepared and divvied out, and coin is taken from the Elkis.
How
The
much do I
Elkis.
The Elkis.
The Elkis. 8 silvers.
8 silvers.
No, actually 4 silver. I have no scale of economy yet at all.
4 silver.
I play a lot of systems.
I give her 5 silver.
It's very kind of you, friend. Times are tough. It's appreciated.
It's tough everywhere at the moment.
I'm just wondering how quickly are we going to end up running out of money because we're being far too nice to.
It's good to see you again,
Strangers.
Celine. And she almost like leans over and gives you like a big sort of arms round. Keeping well, are you?
I am indeed.
You will
What's-
you will recognize her as Ethan Yulbrowl. Yulbrowl, Yarboul. Yulbrowl. And you know her as,
YARB.
doesn't matter, Ethan.
Ethan, yeah.
And you know her to be widowed. You know, she runs the place on her own, and she has done as long as you remember.
Hmm.
The rest of you do not know this, but Celine,
How long has she been widowed?
you don't know.
Okay. So
You
what's
just
going
know
on
that-
around here? Haven't been here for a while. Anything new? Anything interesting?
Lake's still frozen. The
Hmm.
boats are still gathering dust. Those who can go out on the ice and bring back what knucklehead trout they can, and the townsfolk are at least fed, I suppose. But it's dire times, young one. Dire times.
It's nothing fun for me to kind of take a interest or look in. I'm a little bored. And you know how I hate being bored.
Try working here. Always exciting. There's always some folk, stories to tell, and
Oh.
story.
Anything new?
Make
I've been hearing these.
persuasion check.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I seem to be missing a die. Where did it go? There it goes. 18. 19.
19?
Yeah.
You know how things are, Celine. The stories are often wild and have so many wild stories. People going off chasing treasure and monsters out in the snow. I'm tired of seeing people heading out on fool's errands not to come back. You're better off not listening to these stories.
I know. I've just been hearing these strange kind of like whispers from town and around. I've been kind of ignoring them, but friends and I just kind of want to stay safe and want to know, if there's anything we should be worried about.
I mean, I want to get a name right again. There is a gentleman, Trovis, that's his name. Old Trovis has been kicking off again, saying that people are stealing things in the night. He came down the other day for a council meeting and popped in to say hello, and I don't know, he's rambling on about invisible spirits or something. They kept stealing things from the town. I don't know, old drunks as bad as anyone in here. Don't know if there's much to it, but you know what you can be like.
Well, at least nobody's been hurt, right?
Not that I've heard. I mean, the old shipwright turned up dead a couple of days ago, but
Oh?
Sure,
What happened?
You've heard about the recent killings, surely? Someone
We've
like
heard
you
bits and
traveling
pieces.
around, nothing.
It's been tough traveling around too much. We've heard bits and pieces, but nothing that you really want to, truly believe. I only trust those that I've known a little bit longer. Kind of nods at her.
Yeah, it was Terrence, his name. A young lad. Used to work as a shipbuilder out on the docks. A couple of days ago now, tragedy it was. No one seems to know anything. No one's willing to talk about it. They just carried on like just part of life. Guess it kind of is these days.
Well, I don't know his name, so he's not running in any of my circles or under circles, so to speak. So I can't imagine what he would have done wrong to get hurt.
Many circles. I think he just helped with the logging and helped repairing the boats and things. Like, quiet boy.
Any word from the town's leads?
Town speakers. None of the council seem that fussed, to be honest. It seems they've got bigger things on their plate and worrying about how to deal with, food shortages and getting trade routes opened up. If townsfolk, end up injured, they don't seem to give us the time of day.
I suppose there wasn't even a funeral or anything for the poor lad, now was there?
Is there any in these parts? You know how it is. Either in, either burial out on the lake or under the snow.
Did he have any family?
Didn't really know him that well. Maybe. I didn't see him hanging around with anyone who looked like family. A couple of lads his own age out on the docks, but I think he just kept himself to himself and just put in his day's work.
I'm surprised they weren't telling anybody in town then to, keep a little bit more of a safe eye at towards each other. Because, we're walking around, traveling around town to town. We really don't want anything, bad to happen to any of my mates here.
Targus is as safe as any old place, and she points over to the tiefling in the corner. Scath over there, he looks after, he keeps people safe. His men keep the walls secure, they keep whatever creatures out in the snow away. We haven't had any incursions, we haven't had any wandering beasts in weeks now. It might be a bit of a character, and he might not do everything by the book, but he keeps everyone safe. He gets the fishermen organised and keeps the little ones and the children and people in the town safe. What more can we ask for, I guess, in these times?
Very true. Now, on a side note, how well does Celine know that guard?
Make a wisdom check.
Where in the 12?
You know him as captain of the militia. You don't know, you've never really spoken to him or met him. He just cut quite a distinct image, even in 10 towns, being a horned tiefling with plate armor on, and this kind of half-shouldered cloak pulled over. He he's just known to be kind of the town speaker's second-hand man, and he's responsible for the security, any excursions out or anything to do with the organising of the townsfolk on a military or defence level.
Well, my dear mademoiselle, I'm going to enjoy my drink, and you stay safe. I don't want to hear anything happening to you.
I'll be fine, dear. It's good to see you. That when she'll lean over and
Likewise.
give you another hug.
Sorry, ma'am. How did the poor guy die? Does anybody know?
I'm sure people know, but I don't go asking too much about ghastly details. The militia investigated. They got him off the street, and I guess they may have asked around, but I don't think anyone's really that bothered. No one's really got the time for it.
Does anyone in particular run the militia or would be in charge of something like that?
Yeah, she'll point over in the corner.
Oh, Scaff.
Scaff, yeah, he runs the militia.
Cool.
He carries a bit of weight around town. People look to him for protection, things like that. He's a bit of a boisterous fella, but he does his job, I guess.
Can I head over to Scaff?
I was just about to nudge Vale and ask her.
Tables flip, storm over.
Yeah.
I will walk across the bar.
Just nicely head over.
Slap him back. What do you know?
How did he die?
Batman, help me!
No, that's not Vale's way. She'll just mosey on over
That cat.
with the water.
You head over. The conversation abruptly stops as you do. Seems to be at this point a single dwarven kind of working man type, looks kind of rugged and weather worn, and then this fairly ostentatiously dressed tiefling in what appears to be premium grade armor and clothing. Looks like he's got a bit of wealth. Can I help you?
Your Scaff, is that correct?
Captain Scaff, but yeah.
Nice to meet you, Captain Scaff. My name is Vale. I'm from Caer Konig. Is that right, Caer Konig?
One of the mountaineering folk, aren't you?
I am, yes. We've just been...
interrupting our drink.
I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm very sorry. I'm just very keen to talk to you.
Accidentally walked over here and stood in front of us, did you?
Didn't mean to come across as imposing.
What can I help you with?
We have a personal interest, me and my friends, in the recent murders that have been happening. We've just found out that someone was killed around here. As head of the military, I thought you might be able to shed a bit more light on the situation for us.
Yeah, kid was up to no good and got himself stabbed, it seems. Seems as good a reason as any round here. If you go try and break the rules or try and skirt responsibilities and pushes the wrong people up the wrong way.
How was he breaking the rules? How was he skirting his responsibilities? If you don't mind me asking.
You know about the lotteries round here, surely, right?
I can't say I do.
Bryn Shandar, East Haven. Since this goddamn winter's not going anywhere, towns have wanted to appease old Maiden up there and trying to keep her happy, and town speakers have tried their different approaches, sacrifices, keep the gods on side, make this not get any worse.
Yes, I do know about them, sorry.
So
And how did he break those rules?
every full moon, all the citizens of Targus, all their names go into a pool, and one's picked out, and they go for a long walk across the snow, and they don't come back. And a few of these people like to trade a bit of coin to make sure their name ends up not in that pile.
Is that what this young lad did?
I'd be saying, wouldn't it?
Well, it would be. I don't see now what the problem would be with saying, but if you don't want to say, that's perfectly within your right.
Plenty of people try it. Times are tough. People have got the coin and want to keep themselves safe. Keeps the money flowing.
What would be the punishment for something like that? If they were caught?
Wouldn't really be one, I guess. they've got the money to pay for it, or they want to leave town, or like you know as well as anyone, most of the folk in these town aren't above board. Everyone's got their own games on. Everyone's got their own way of making coin at others' expenses.
Have you heard about the other murders that have happened over 10 towns?
I mean, don't know much happening over the east. Nothing's out other than around Targus and the cairns up north. Might have been something else similar over in Brynch and Dar, I guess. It's been a while since I've been over there.
That's where we've come from, isn't it, Brynch and Dar?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, we have actually just come from Brynch and Dar, and we did a small amount of investigating about a young lad that was stabbed there as well. And we think that he may have also been skirting his responsibilities, as you say, with these lotteries.
Why is it you care? I mean, you didn't know these people.
Well, I know the people stood behind me, and I gesture to those at the bar, and I just say, as I said before, we have a very personal interest. One of our members specifically, someone that was very close and dear to them, was murdered. So we are, as a band of friends, trying to investigate a little further. So if there's any information that you might have that you think would aid us, we'd be very grateful. And I can assure you that our intentions are only, honourable, and that within the law.
You're the land's police now, detectives. You looking
No,
to...
just individuals that care and want to help one of our friends, and in turn, hopefully, keep the land around us a safer place.
I'm going to chime in from the bar, just a little loud enough but nonchalantly, going, I really do wonder how, a poor kid who works in the docks could afford to skirt his responsibilities like that. It's just, where would he get the money? Where would any of them get the money?
Where does anyone get the money from? I'm sure a few of you, a few coin, putting blades to people, going out and doing the jobs no one else wants to do, right? No one's innocent. No one's innocent in these lands.
I'm going to just turn around to Celine and say, we met a certain blacksmith that had a recognisable amount of money, I believe. Maybe people are bolt holing for this kind of thing. I'm not sure.
Everyone's got their own stories to hide.
Yes,
Everyone's
this is
got
very
their
true.
own money squirreled away for times. I mean, don't get me wrong. Those who are down on bad fortune, feel for them. I do. But it's dog eat dog out here, right? If you can make some money, keep yourself safe. You gotta put yourself first in these situations. Who knows how long this is gonna last?
I completely agree, but on that same vein, we are fortunate enough to be of good health, me and my friends here, so we are trying our utmost to do what we can to hopefully bring an end to these murders that are obviously rife amongst 10 towns. So if you have any information, like I say, that would help us, we'd be very grateful.
Sound
just
like
in the
them
age
damn
of doing
priests
good.
from the temple in Chandar. Do
right?
gooding this, do gooding that, and save the world day by day.
Not the world, just who we can.
People die out here. People keep dying out here. People keep getting lost. People argue with the wrong people and find themselves on the wrong end of a knife.
The lady over behind the bath said that you were very good at keeping these people safe in your own way.
From
that
the
you
door,
were
from stuff coming in through the walls. Can't keep the people safe from each other. We can't be in everyone's chambers every night and keep an eye on all of them.
No, that's very true.
Just quickly, this is one of the biggest militia in 10 towns, correct?
As far as you are aware, there are not many towns that have a formalized. There's no military, there's no army, there's no standing guard.
Okay.
You know that a few places have built their own systems or have their own circumstances to try and keep things safe. Targus is one of the 3 only out of the 10 walled cities.
Okay.
And what they've arranged to do is Scath's been given a captaincy role, and he has kind of a rota where, like jury duty, a few
Okay.
of the fishermen will be dragged out of their job, armed up, they'll work the military shift for a couple of days, then they'll rotate back in.
Okay.
It's not a formal, regimented military, it's almost a, you tenor with me this week.
Pastoral service sort of thing.
Yeah.
Cool. Celine, what I find the funniest is that, this is supposed to be, a renowned city of how safe it is, and yet they just can't be bothered to even investigate the random murders that are happening. There seems to be
Murder. Only one person's died in these walls.
Oh, sorry. I was actually talking to my friend.
I don't care.
Better insight, because obviously she seems to be a little bit better at your job.
My job's to keep things inside these walls safe from things outside of the walls.
And here's to say that the murderer isn't coming from outside of these walls.
It actually would make sense for them to be coming from outside of the walls if it's the same person that is murdering people across 10 towns.
And surely you want to investigate this and, talk to the rest of the 10 towns saying, this is a bit of an issue. Do you have any insight? Because this is the information that I have. So this way we can keep people safe and the bad guys outside of our walls, because that's your job.
I have merchants. You're the only people to come inside these walls in the last 4 weeks. So if you want to be looking at people traveling around from towns to town, you might want to start with yourselves. Now look, the speakers want to play politics. They can go chat to the other towns. I don't care about the other towns. I care about here.
So question, do you have a sign-in policy for all of the merchants that come in and out?
No. We know who comes in and out. We
Good.
the
Oh, you
merchant.
do? Fantastic. Could we have those names?
You also keep cutting in and out.
Oh, sorry. But you have those names, correct? So is there any chance that we could get those? So then we can...
No, there isn't.
But you said you know who comes in and out.
I know a lot of things.
Uh-huh.
And it seems like you're not actually putting a lot of those things that you know to work to keep the town a little bit safer, are you now?
I don't know.
If you're being paid off as well, because those are very fine clothing that you are wearing, and I'm pretty sure that on your wage, you should be able to afford those. So who's the man selling them to you? Because you're sure as hell not getting them from this city. Or town, sorry.
Let me go check outside and see how many wild beasts, how many orc raiding bands, how many barbarian tribes are ransacking the town right now. Just as of this morning, it was none.
Okay.
So my job's been done well. The barbarians and the filth are kept out. The bears, the creatures, the spectres, the ghosts, whatever else is out haunting these lands is kept out, and I'm paid for it. Now, I don't tell you how to do your job. I don't come into your town, come into your tavern, interrupt you, start shouting my mouth off.
Oh, we're
You're
not.
the only outsiders to come into this town in the space of the week that I don't recognise. And as far as I'm concerned, you're causing problems. So you sit down, you shut up, you enjoy the drinks that you buy, keep coin in the tavern, or you find yourselves out in the snow and just going somewhere else.
Oh, is the tavern paying a protection fee for you? To you, sorry. Because like I said, those are very expensive furs, and that is not much coin that's coming in and out of this town.
This conversation's over. I suggest you sit down, keep your mouth shut. You find yourself out of the city, not welcome back in.
I'm going to turn to Adri and say, it's okay. Sit down. It's fine.
I lean up against the bar instead of sitting as just a bit of a fuck you.
I'm going to try and stay with...
He'll turn and kind of looks at Celine again. You want to think about what company you keep. People get the wrong idea.
Me? Oh, come now. How long have you known me?
Seems to have picked up a few interesting companions en route.
And we are quite alive and well now, aren't we?
Fuck, I'm sick
Can't
of
say the
people
same.
bringing up this goddamn question. The kid got himself killed. I don't know who he's arguing with. He chucked some coin to get his name out of the hat. He's not the first. He's probably not going to be the last.
So we make sure that he's actually the last, hopefully. That way we give you a little bit more of a recognition to your title and make your, position seem a little higher if you're keeping more people safe, and tell us just a little bit so we can maybe get something done on the side for you.
Look, the only people I've been around here other than yourselves are there's a couple of barbarian tribes that trade fish. They've been here for years. No reason for them to kick off now, or they know the entire tribe gets wiped out overnight. A couple of the
Are there interesting traders coming through?
caravans come through. There's 2 or 3 that come through like clockwork every other month. Same as they always have done.
Now you know.
Name of that one. Sorry, I'm trying to find my
They
notes.
come in the same as you lot. They
Fog.
ask for stories. They tell tall tales about things they've seen out in the world.
I'd still love to see some of these caravans. I know they're not around town, most likely they're all traveling all about, but you know, so I don't know how much he knows about Celine and her works and everything, so I'm just gonna kind of gauge it around that, my conversation right now, unless you want to tell me how much does he know about me and my works.
You don't know.
I'm just gonna pretend that he probably does and make him sound like a little bit bigger because he's the guard and all. Well, you know my workings and everything, you know the circles that I travel in, the people that I help, and the routes that I go along, and not sure if I run into these people at any given time, you know, and if I do run into them again, I need to keep this spot safe.
Same as anywhere. You've a couple of travelling merchants who come round on their route, they pay all their wares, they piss off.
Nothing specific about their caravans or anything that I can like recognize along the way when we move on.
You've seen them come through. You've a couple of the clothing merchants, you have a couple of the dwarves coming around from the mountains with gems and jewels that they've dug up. You've got, what's her name? Torga. You got Torga's lot come through every month doing their trade routes. Same people, you know, you've seen them come through here for years.
Understood. I can't put my finger on what in the world could possibly be going on. And everybody keeping little secrets here and there.
Aren't we all? I'm sure you have your own.
Nothing to this detriment. Now,
sure
when I was talking to him before, when the girls were talking to him, I was gauging him and just how he was speaking, and he was getting a little angrier. Could I tell just by his tone and little stutters? Could my elf senses tell? Was he like lying or anything, or was he?
You make a deception check, but your magical elf senses of detection.
Just to hear his, you know, did his heart go up a little bit?
That's the best fishing for a racial bonus ever. My elf senses tingle.
Damn it.
I have cat ears. Does he lie?
Well, you know what? It's miserable because my dice just rolled the
Between
four.
the four of you, you've probably got enough ears for 8 people. Because you've got, what, 2 elves, a tabaxi, and a goblin. That's a lot of ears.
I got a 5.
You have no
I'm
idea.
already drunk, probably.
You get the feeling that he's under the influence of whatever he's been drinking. He's brash, but you don't sense that he's been deceptive. He's not been entirely, he's not been forthcoming, but what he's told you seems legit.
Alright. Well, kind sir, thank you for your help either way. We'll let you know if we find anything out.
Alright.
Would you be interested to know of anything that we find out? Is this something, because I don't mean any disrespect, but from what we can gauge, you're sort of done with the situation. He was murdered, he was stabbed, you have an idea as to why he was avoiding the lottery, but you don't seem interested in any kind of further investigation. So do you want to know anything that we find out?
It's not hard to work out why you don't want to be in there. Same way no one wants to be in there.
No, but he was murdered. He was killed by someone. So would you, if this, this murderer could still be within your walls, are you even interested in any information that we might have around these murders? Because we've been to a place where there was a murder and we've been here. It seems like you're only familiar with the murder here, and yet it is very likely that they are committed by the same person. So if you have anything that you can tell us, we would be grateful, and we will share information that we gather with yourself that might help you do your job better. Because you are obviously a very respected member of this town, and it is your job to keep people safe, and we just want to help you. Our intentions are nothing but honourable.
Make a persuasion check.
Oh god.
Please have a lie.
17.
Look, people get killed, right? People die. People die every week, whether it's they fall into the lake, they're whisked away into the night, they get into a bath or it gets out of hand. Yeah, it's a bit odd that he's the one who wants to get out of the lottery and winds up dead the day after. I'll give you that.
And that's happened in other towns, not just.
Look,
I know that you're
what
only
happens in other
interested in here.
towns, that's your own business.
I know. I completely understand that this town is your responsibility, but it is likely that these things are connected, and you can't ignore that. That's not something that you can brush under the carpet. If you want it to be solved and to stop happening, you need to take more of an interest in what's going on elsewhere, because it is very highly linked to what's going on here in your town. It will help you.
I don't get anywhere near enough time in the week to ask every person in this town what they were doing and when they were doing it. All right? My job is to keep the walls up, the creatures out, and that's what I do. If you want to be high and mighty, if you want to start your own investigation, you want to bring the big scary murderer to justice or whatever it is you think you want to do, be my guest. I'm not going to stop you. Am I going to spend every waking moment trying to track this person down? No.
I've not
The whole
suggested that you
town
should.
is, everyone here is shady. Everyone here is running from something. Everyone here is capable. You'd be asking people for months, and no one is going to just open up and tell you. You know
I
that's,
understand that.
you know what it's like around here. Times are tough. People get desperate. Either someone wasn't happy about him getting his name out of the hat. Maybe some people just wanted some quick coin off of him. I don't know. Kid's dead. Finding out who it is that brings you some sort of justice to yourselves, go right ahead. Be
It
my
will
guest.
do, because a member of our group, you know, it is likely that someone very close to him was murdered by the same person. So we are going to investigate this. We are going to do it in this town, with or without your help. All I'm asking is that if you have any information that would help us, you tell us now. You've said that we are free to conduct our own investigation, as you know, as conceding as you were about it. That's fine. I don't mind you thinking that we're on a fool's errand, because we know that we're doing it for the right reasons. But if you are going to deliberately hold information from us that would hinder us, that doesn't seem like it's in your town's best interests.
Look,
And then can I make a insight check to see if you've lied about anything?
I am tired of hearing you people. I came in here for a drink. Look, the only other people that seemed vaguely interested in the lottery were Torga's caravan lot. They came through, they wanted to know what was going on with the lottery, wanted to know if there's any money to be made on the side with it, and then they pissed off up north. Right?
Thank you.
Now, for the love of God, can you leave me alone?
We will leave you alone. Thank you for that information. And if
Just
you want
go,
to hear
just
about it,
go. I don't care. Leave. I'm trying to enjoy a drink. I'm sick of you.
I will turn on my heel and walk away from him.
And he points he points over at Adri. If you say one word, I'm kicking you out of the city.
I would like to make a statement outside of character. I am the DM now. Actually, he tells us everything we want to know. He's the mother. Let's just kill him. According to Twitch, I am now Rob.
Hang on. Let me just check. Says here, no.
Hey, lie. Look at the stream. Twitch does not lie.
Yeah, what happened? It just went glitch.
Oh God, hang on.
Camera.
I'm a warlock.
Oh,
I'm-
Jesus. Yeah, okay. Yeah, all the cameras have stopped around. I'm a goblin paladin. Yeah.
Hannah, send me your character sheet.
I can never escape from my shady, sarcastic self. It's fine.
Each places.
It's because I got DC'd.
It's Tony's fault.
My connection is currently unstable. But Elk
Oh, no worries.
is getting tipsy at the bar.
So those watching on the stream, the nameplates are not in the right order anymore, so please disregard them.
Hopefully, I'll sort
Hannah
it
has
out.
no power.
No flower here.
Scaff finishes his drink in just two big gulps, just gulp, 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 slams his cup on the table, and just stands up and just kind of goes over to Ethan at the bar and drops the tab, drops the silver on the bar, gives her a small hug, and then leaves.
What a charming man.
Fascinating.
I say we stab him.
I say that we don't. As tempting as it
Investigating,
was,
investigating murders for knifing. What should we do? We should stab somebody.
as tempting as it was, Adri, I don't think that would be productive. Let's put it that
I
way.
have use of his horns.
If the current murderer hasn't been caught, who's to say that we're gonna get caught?
Welcome to 10 Towns, kids.
Shame.
You're catching on.
Shame.
Like, he doesn't care about anything inside the city walls. It's outside that he cares about. So, oh well, he dug his own grave. Adri then realizes what she's saying and then very much shuts up and just grabs her mug and just kind of goes off to go like find the map or something.
I don't think this is helping, guys. I would quite like to go visit the temple.
Make
I'm
a
not
Constitution saving throw, Mr. Elkis, as you have been sat mainlining ethanol at the bar for the last...
Constitution.
It's low.
What is my con? That is 15.
Okay, you're alright.
Yeah, I would like to.
This goblin can put him away.
For now.
For now, yeah.
Mom, bar lady. Ethan, sorry. Mother.
Everyone just calls me Ma around here, it's fine.
Okay, Ma. The temple in town. Who's it a temple to?
No temple in this team. Do you mean the temple to the Morning Lord over in the capital?
Oh, I thought there
one
was
I
a
can
temple
think of.
mentioned. I thought I heard there was a temple here. Never mind.
Not in Tarkus, dearie.
He said I was like a preacher, but I don't think he was referring to a temple here.
Oh.
Charming
Okay.
as ever.
Yeah. So, Ma, the deal basically is, and why my companions have upset your guard fella, is my mentor, my mother figure, was murdered in quite a gruesome way. She was stabbed to death, and there has been similar murders, one here in your township and 2 others, and very little to go on, but just trying to figure out some way, some clue as to why these are happening. There's 2 that both they seem to think that it's to do with the lottery, but I find that quite hard to believe. I didn't hear of my mother being in the lottery. She was the town cleric.
Where are you from, little one?
I'm from Duggan's Hall.
As far as I'm aware, every town has its own way of dealing with it, their own superstitions. As far as I'm aware, they don't have a lottery as such. So I'm not sure if she was killed there. I don't know. Sorry to hear it though, but don't really get to leave town very often these days. The roads are treacherous and the lake frozen over. The boats aren't going anywhere.
Is there anyone you'd recommend talking to? Anyone that knows the dockhands? Do they work for anybody, or do they work for themselves, or do they sell to them?
I mean, the only people really in these parts that do much outside work and tend to sometimes travel with the caravans are a couple of mountaineering types. They do expeditions up the cairn.
Oh, like Vale does.
You're just gonna sort of like.
Your friend here.
Yes, yeah, sorry.
I think so. I mean, I guess so, if that's the sort of work you're in.
That's correct. Yes.
I mean, there's a lovely couple. They live at the end of town. They travel up the cairn, and they got this lovely dog. Big, great, grey thing he is. But yeah, Garrett and Keegan, the names are. They used to take adventurers up the mountain. They had a few townsfolk wanting to go up the last couple of, maybe yesterday, I think. They were going to set out, and they left with Torga's caravan. They were going to go part of the way together. They sometimes kind of hitch a ride or travel as a bigger group to keep safe and then branch off. I don't know.
They went with Targa?
I don't know if they went with. They tend to share the road. Like, they travel as a big group, and then when they get to the cairn, they head up the mountain. But I mean, I don't know if they set off a day so ago with the caravan. But
which way did they set off? Is it the Bremen Road or the Temelin Road, or back towards Bryn?
Yeah, towards back, the fort, the junction between Bryn. Yeah, they turn left and head up the Dwarven Pass usually.
Yep.
And then Keegan tends to head up into the hills off the road, and caravan heads over to wherever it's off to, I guess. I mean, strength in numbers, I think, is the plan. They travel together.
Yeah. I don't know if it could be connected, but it might be worth asking for him. We're meant to have a look for Targa, but
I guess if you want to find where Torga's off to, they're probably a good a chance as any. I mean, Garrett will know. He's the owner of the company, and he's the one who, I think, made the deal to travel with them. I'm sure he knows when they're in town, where they're going.
Would I know these mountaineering-y people from my line of work?
Say again, sorry.
Would I know these these other mountaineers from my line of work? Would I have heard of them?
Yes, you would. You know it as a couple, two humans, Garrett and Keegan. And their large grey dog called Boy. And whereas you tend to do more expedition leading from a exploration, like your clientele tend to be magic-y artifact, relic hunters, cave hunting types. These are more touristy. They tend to do the guided walk up to the peak sort of business. But from your professional knowledge, you'd have to be pretty damn mental to go up the side of the mountain in the current weather conditions and how dark it's been.
Okay. Overhearing their conversation, I'll say, "Oh yes, I know Garrett and Keegan fairly well from my line of work. It would be at least worth paying them a visit, I think. If nothing more than I'd like to see them, but they probably would have some information, especially to the whereabouts of Torga, that they could share with us, I'd hope."
I mean, I don't know if they both went out, but I know Garrett at the very least was popped in day before yesterday, I think. It was a day just after that young boy got found. He came in and he said he got an expedition, a bunch of adventuring types were heading up the mountain. He was a little bit worried if someone's, these sort of things happening. I think Keegan was worried for him going up the mountain.
Rightly so. He must be crazy in this weather.
It's dangerous times, like I say. It's why we stay in this tavern and keep the drinks flowing and keep the doors shut and warm.
One last question, Ma, and I'll leave you be.
Yeah, go ahead. It's fine.
We heard of a strange blue-eyed man, possibly human, but dressed like all of us are. Really piercing blue eyes, and everyone's tall to me, but tall. You haven't seen any strangers with blue eyes and asking questions or hanging about anywhere in town, have you?
I'm sure there's a few people with blue eyes, dearest, but
it's true.
No one out of the ordinary. I mean, the fisher folk come in here, the occasional travelling merchant, the caravan crews come through. Every now and again, townsfolk like yourselves from the other towns come across, looking for work or whatever it might be.
No worries. I'll give a couple more silver and say thank you for that.
That's very kind of you, little one.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'll finish up my drink and what do you think, guys?
I think it would be worth visiting Keegan sooner rather than later to find out why Garrett has gone up that mountain, because in this weather it's a bit worrying, to be honest, to me.
Put it this way, in your professional opinion, you wouldn't go up the mountain in this weather.
Yeah, it's worrying that he's done that.
And you're a mountaineering ranger by trade.
Yeah, it's very worrying that he's done that, and there must be a reason. And if he's taken a party with him, he's taken people with him, that's even more worrying, because they're not going to be experienced, and I'm experienced and I wouldn't go. So we need to find out why he's done that.
Just to give you guys a sense of scale, Calvin's Cairn is probably comparable with something like, maybe not Everest big, but it's, if you're going to go up, it's a planned expedition. It's not just let's go for a walk. It's very much a treacherous, even back in the good days, it was still, that's why there was industries like what Vale was involved with and like what Keegan and Garrett were, to take people up. It was a dedicated expedition that you paid experts to guide you to make sure you didn't end up stuck on the side of a mountain.
So like the Himalayas?
Sure.
The fact that he's taken a, immediate but not planned, it seems, expedition up the side of the mountain in this weather is ridiculous. So we need to go and find out why.
I think the word you would probably come up with is reckless.
Reckless, yeah. And I don't, from what I know of him, I don't think he would do that in his right mind as well. It must be something pretty, urgent and important that has even made him think that it's a good idea. So.
Well, I suppose mountaineering guides and folk don't really last long if they're reckless. Yeah, let's go talk to him. Her, his partner.
Vegan,
Yeah. We can go visit at the very least.
As you guys, I'm guessing you planning on leaving the Three Flag sailing.
Yeah.
As you leave, Ethan kind of catches Celine's attention. And she just slips you a small hip flask under the bar.
That's cute. Not that any of us noticed that, but okay. That's...
And,
Did I notice that?
Make a perception check. Let's see how sleight of handy Mar is. Ooh, 17. You saw nothing. She's a sneaky lady.
It's the furs. I can't see around the side of my head.
Can't see around corner, can't see over your shoulders.
Yeah, I have to turn my body to see.
Nobody can see underneath my cloak all the little
It's just
flasks and everything that are just sewn in.
It's a winter coat, but when he zips it up, he just has to cut eye holes in the collar so he can just see through it.
Kenny, I understand.
In on perception, so I probably just caught a glimpse of that quick.
What did you roll?
19.
You had no reason to actively look, so it'd be passive perception more than anything else. So the way that generally works, just going forward, where it's a bit more in a harmless setting. Passive perception is what you can see just naturally, just how aware you are. If you're actively looking for something, that's when you'd roll perception. So if you're walking, if you go, actually, I'm going to look and see things out of the ordinary, great. If you don't say anything, you're walking, and your passive perception's crap, and you step on a landmine, well, that's your own fault.
Yeah.
No, nobody saw me slip like the flask. Just
Entire 2-liter optic bottle.
Yeah.
just into my hood in the back. That's all my aim.
Suddenly Celine is very square around here.
A whole keg just into your backpack.
It's not
Under
my
a cloak.
armor, my chainmail that's making clank clank sounds. It's all little
Hey,
bottles.
It's
So,
just made entirely of bottle caps. It's not actually nail.
you guys head out once more. You leave the toasty warmth of the Three Flags sailing in and Ethan, and you head out once more into the dim, dark evening. Well, it's mid-afternoon, but it's approaching that kind of twilight hour again. It's dark and the wind billows up, and you're reminded once more how biting the cold is. And you make your way to the towards the edge of like a residential area where Vale you would know to be the residence of Garrett, Keegan, and Boy.
Lovely.
Ooh.
And we will call our break just there. So thank you very much. There's an epic conversation about tea and coffee going on in the chat. And on that note, I kind of want one. I'm a Yorkshire tea man myself. I'm sure other teas exist and are inferior, but they surely exist.
Are they actually tea?
I don't know. It's kind of like those weird leaves you scoop up out your driveway or like the gutter and then mix it with water.
I even order Yorkshire on Amazon to get it to Dublin. So I got that serious about it.
There you go. End of argument. So guys, I'm hoping our technical support back office person can switch us, pause the stream for us. That'd be fantastic. We were a little bit early on the break. It's a good time.
We're back.
Woohoo!
Ooh, internet, we are back.
Did you miss us?
Hello, everyone. Hopefully you're rearmed with tea, coffee, coffee, tea, toffee, whatever the hell you lot were on about in the chat earlier.
Wine.
Some hybrid monstrosity of the two, which no is the answer. We're back. Hello, thank you for sticking around during the break. We are going to drop straight back in. If you did miss the first part of episode 3 of Secret Worth Dying For, you can find everything is uploaded to YouTube in the next couple of days. Heavyweight Gaming. So if you are falling behind, or if you've missed a part of it, you want to catch up, see what you've missed, go check us out on YouTube. Give us a follow, like, share, subscribe, and all the rest of it. Quick thank you again to all the channel partners and sponsors: Ruffworx, Sawdust Swearwords, Dawnless Rose, Dice the Beholder, and Loke Battle Maps. All fantastic stuff. Check us out on social media on Facebook, Heavyweight Gaming, and you can see all the lovely details. Thank you, Sawdust and Swearwords, posting our YouTube channel. Good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, we're going to drop back in to the second half of tonight's portion of our story. So, mid-afternoon, it is dark, it is cold, the wind is biting. You leave the warm, cozy embrace of the Three Flags Sailing Tavern. You are heading out, seemingly in search of a mountaineering business run by a couple, Keegan and Garrett, who, after some information digging, you have spoken to the charming Scaff, Captain Scaff of the Targus Guard, and Ethan, the lady who runs the tavern. Put some pieces together, you've got some more information than what you went in with, and you decided to go and inquire with Keegan and Garrett, who supposedly were leading some adventurers on an expedition and were at least partly traveling with Torga's caravan. Some mercenaries, some merchants that you've been wanting to track down and talk to, I believe.
Before anywhere though, can we find somewhere to buy some food?
We could stop into that.
For yourselves or for the bears?
Both.
Well, the bear General Steps is off doing the bear thing.
Us.
Okay. Yeah, you can probably
Because
squirrel something away.
it's so long that we can live off a dried jerky that we found in a questionable goblin hovel.
Speak for yourself.
Said the goblin.
Sure, away, he's fine and dandy.
That was nice jerky. That was.
Glad you enjoyed it.
goblins.
They were horrible little, but they had good food.
What's the plan?
To the shop, I guess.
Okay.
Noms.
The third tavern.
Third tavern. I just put two and two together. Yeah, you know of a general store / blacksmith / random store called the Triglio. In the center of town, probably about 10-15 minute walk from where you currently are.
Sounds like a plan.
That way.
Okay. So, as you head towards the Triglio, can you all please roll perception checks?
So you're going to say initiative then?
Fisherman comes in and hits you with a fishing rod.
Please.
It's an 8.
8,
For 16.
a 2, a 16.
Come on.
12.
Vale and Celine, you spot it first. As you kind of trudge through the town, snow's crunching under your feet, you hear a bark of a dog over kind of the howl of the wind, and a wolf-sized sled dog, grey in colour, comes bounding towards the path with you. And you notice kind of a broken, kind of hanging off leather harness, comes bounding past where you guys are and continues towards the residential district.
Can I call out for boy and see if it responds.
Make an animal handling check.
I can do that. Oh, 19.
As you call out boy, it kind of skids to a halt and kind of just stays. It's about 30, 40 yards ahead of you, but just kind of stop and kind of head looks up your shoulder for a second.
Cool.
Standing still.
This dog belongs to Garrett and Keegan, and I'm kind of worried that it's...
There's another kind of bark, and then he takes back off down the path.
Yeah.
There's a dog?
Yeah, the dog is boy. It belongs to Garrett and Keegan. We need to follow this dog because it should not be without Garrett and Keegan, especially with a broken harness. Something's very wrong.
I didn't see a thing, but lead the way.
Yeah.
Andrew, this is something.
I leg it after the dog.
Yeah.
Question it. If the dog should not be there, I go.
Hey,
Follow suit.
you head eastward through town. You follow the footprints, the snow. There's a few corners, and you lose sight of the creature, but the tracks are easy enough to follow. And eventually, you come across a homestead where the dog is kind of scratching and barking at the door. And as you guys kind of catch up, you see the door opened, and you see a fairly handsome man, probably around his 30s. He's human, clean-shaven, kind of short-ish, kind of brown hair. It's quite well kept. Probably not a person who does a lot of work on the lake, so to speak. He was a little bit more kept. Vale, you'd recognise it as Keegan Velrin, one of the Mountaineer.
Oh, I don't normally go for humans, but he's cute.
And when Keegan opens the door, he kind of looks down and sees a boy who bounds into the house and starts like pouring up Keegan. And he kind of looks up and sees you, and he kind of his smile fades and kind of just looks sort of confused at you lot.
Keegan, this is a very weird way for us to introduce the fact that we're here, but boy has just come bolting through the town.
Going on?
We're kind of worried.
What's going on? Where's Garrett?
We haven't seen him. Boy just ran past us and we followed him here.
I mean, boy's meant to be on the expedition with Garrett and the people they left a day and a half ago.
That's very worrying.
Day and a half.
Come in. And he opens the door and pulls the dog inside.
I head inside.
Okay, and he kind of perches on the edge of kind of like a sofa set up, kind of hands crossed in his lap, and I don't know. You'll recognize him, Celine, and Vale. You'll recognize him. The other two, you won't know him. He kind of double takes the goblin, but seems to be a little bit more preoccupied with concern than why there's a goblin wandering around with you, Vale. You cut quite an interesting figure yourself, but maybe not so much as a tiny little Elkis. A few days ago, Garrett was hired by some adventurers to lead them up the slopes. The money was good, and we told him it was stupid. The weather's crazy, and he hasn't been up there in a few weeks. But they're willing to pay. They're off looking for some old. I don't know, some old towers, I don't know, stories of this old mage city in the snow somewhere, and they wanted to go find it. And
Just gonna put my head in my hands and sigh deeply.
you know what he's like. I was born in the towns, but my husband, he come from a big wealthy family down in Netherwinter, and wanted to get away from that city life, and any excuse to go out into the wilderness and climb mountains. Just told him it was dangerous, but they offered plenty of coin, and he took the job. He headed out a day and a half ago. Boy was pulling the sled. I've not heard anything from him, and literally just now you all show up.
I don't mean to sound really insincere or rude, but why did you stay behind?
I'm not cut out for the mountain life. I stay here and keep the business ticking over. It's Garrett who does all the climbing up hills and
Of course.
outdoorsy stuff.
Well, if go on.
it doesn't seem very long for him to prepared. Was the money that good that does he generally do short notice work?
Not really, but they seem pretty well equipped. The folk he was with, climbing gear, and they had the sled dogs. And
Okay.
Do you
It's
recall what they
very-
look like?
I didn't meet them. And they hired. I think there's 3 or 4 of them. They like say there's been some outsiders around town. I mean, I did some traveling down in East Haven across a couple of last week or so. There's some odd, I don't know, there's magic-y types, wizards and things like that. They were talking about arcane and such nonsense. And apparently, then these adventurers show up and they're off seeking relics up in the mountains. I don't know, Garrett was telling me all about it, but it just seemed like nonsense to me. I was more worried about this weather.
You're definitely sure they were like wizards and like mages, and they weren't something inherently magical?
I mean, I don't know. I don't really know about magic. Like, I didn't meet him. It's just what Garrett said. Like, look, boy was his favorite. He's leading the sled team. Like, boys come running back here. There's something must have gone wrong.
Yeah, I was going to say time is probably very much of the essence with this situation, because something has obviously gone very wrong. Boy has come back here to tell you that something's gone wrong, so we're going to need to act very quickly.
Look, Vale, it's a lot to ask, but you're probably the best person for this. You know the mountains.
Yeah, we're going to go and look for him.
You go
Keegan,
find
that's
him.
not even an option. Yeah, we're going to go and find him. That's not even a conversation. I'm just saying that we need to do it now, because the more time it's going to take us time to get to where he is, wherever he is, we don't know, but we can take the path that I would assume that he would take. But we, the longer we wait, the more likely it is that he's going to be not as we want to find him.
Can boy help? Can boy help us?
Maybe, I guess. I mean, if we'll go with you, then sure, but I mean,
Boy's the only one that knows where he is at the moment, so
Garrett knows that land really well. Like, he knows what he's doing. I'm sure he can look after himself, but
Yeah, but the people that he's with might not be so polite.
and the fact that Boy has come back here, yeah, that means something is very wrong.
You said the boy had some leather hanging off him. Is boy nearby? Can I have a look at it?
it just appears to be like a sled dog harness. It's similar to what's on the bears that you have attached to your caravan. It appears to be a fairly standard patterned like dog harness or creature harness.
Does
is it snapped or cut or?
Make an investigation check.
Can I assist in that?
Yes, with advantage.
Well, I got an 18 on the first. 18 and a 17.
Okay, it doesn't appear to be cut. It looks more like it's had a snide. It's not clean. It doesn't look like it's been cut with the blade. It looks frayed. It looks damaged. It's difficult to tell, but you don't think it was cut with a blade. You're not certain, but it looks either snapped or torn or rather than sheared.
Or chewed?
Yeah, we can. Again, you're not 100%. It's consistent with that, but you wouldn't know for certain.
Okay.
Rob, what would I know about? So, is it worth? Would Vale know that it's either one way or the other about taking the bears in the cart up there? I'm assuming it's going to be two sort of.
You imagine you could probably get the bears in the cart to roughly where you found the bears in the cart the previous couple of nights, but then it's uphill. It's mountains.
Yeah, that's cool.
Would that be slower travel than going on foot though?
More comfortable in the caravan. By the time you found them, got them going and got moving again, and you're not convinced. You're not sure at this point if they've been fed or where Gentle Steps is.
I mean, it's going to take us time to get the bears ready and to get the cart ready and to even find them, and we can only take it to a certain point anyway. We can't take it much further than the crossroads where we were. So, I'm going to suggest on foot, but I'm open to suggestions.
You're the expert.
Yeah, I think at the moment, speed is of the essence. Time is of the essence. Speed.
Would Boy be able to pull a sled?
Not on his own, I don't think. It
Not
normally
for all
takes
of
a
us.
few of them. It's usually 4 of them.
Well, if we take Boy,
It's gravy
Elkis
time.
could at least be on the sled. The
Mm.
rest of us on foot are faster, and we can follow the dog, can we?
I mean,
The problem is, we'd need to leave Keegan behind.
I mean, I'm not cut out for outside life. I just get in your way.
Yeah, I don't think Keegan was gonna come anyway.
Just another casualty to take care of.
Lucky. Can you
You
go
have
find
spare
him?
sled anywhere?
No, he took it with him. They went out. Like I say, he took the.
I say we go.
Yeah, let's go. Let's take Boy with us. We'll worry about a sled if we need to, but I'm sure Elkis is perfectly capable in this situation to keep up with us.
I'll be fine. I'm quite fast and I can run in your wake. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's
Alright.
go.
Hurry, please. I'm worried about him. Like, it's not like him, and it's not like it used to be. The mountain's dangerous.
Would you mind if we just fill up our water bottles real quick before we go?
Yeah,
I
whatever you
think we
need.
forgot to do so.
Take
Yeah.
anything you need.
Water and rations if you have any supplies that would be useful.
Yeah, give me 2 seconds, and he moves off to another room in the back somewhere, and comes back with a total of 3 full rations.
I can also, I know the mountains fairly well. If we need to hunt whilst we're out there, I can do that. But I suggest we get going.
I've got plenty of time. What about general steps? Should we? We haven't really got time to go looking for him, but shall we leave a message for him or?
Keegan, is there any way that you could go to our little caravan and see Gentle Step, tell him what's going on, where we're going?
Where is it? What is it?
I'm going to explain where we've left the caravan with the bears.
Too big for all the bears. Can't miss it.
I mean, yeah, I can go try and let him know. Yeah. It's not a
Thank you.
problem.
I'm sure he'll be able to catch us up. We shouldn't get too far before you get the message to him.
Thank you. I just want him back safe, you know.
Yeah, let's go.
We harness up.
Yeah.
You're out of there.
So, are you attempting to take a boy with you?
Yes.
Yes.
Make an animal handling check.
All of us, or?
Whoever is taking points
I
on this.
I
One of you
can.
may.
I can, or I can assist if anyone else is good at it.
Whoever's going to attempt to lure Boy away from one of their owners to go back up the mountain, make an animal handling check.
I definitely think it should be Vale.
18. I like this dice. You are good. You are
Kind
good
of
at
double
this.
takes for a second, but then kind of senses the urgency and kind of starts leading the way out the door.
Do you have any, before we leave, I'm just going to turn to you and say, do you have an item of Garrett's clothing really quickly that might have a scent on it that I could grab, please?
Maybe, hang on, and spends a couple of minutes in the back and comes out with what appears to be kind of a work shirt of some description.
That's perfect, thank you. And I'll grab it and go.
You guys take out into the night. You can kind of use the harness as kind of a makeshift lead should you wish. But Boyd does pull you all across the snow and take off towards the edge of town, fairly brisk, and you are left with the crossed-armed, worried figure of Keegan in the doorway as that slowly fades into the darkness as you guys make your way back out of the town into the snow.
On the road again.
The route, if I just quickly remind myself, my little pocket-sized map that I now have, a little bit smaller than the other one. But it's not a...
So straight out the town, down to the crossroads, and left.
Yeah, pretty much. You can head basically from Targos. You can head straight. You can take the long. There's 2 routes you can typically take. You can either go north up towards Tourmaline and then through the Dwarven Valley, or you can go back through Bryn Shundar on the east way up to Caer Dineval and Caer Conig, which is the closest town to the mountain itself, should you wish to kind of have a staging ground before going up the mountain, or you can just go cross country.
I shall leave the choice to Vale.
You are looking at least a day's travel to get to where you found the goblin sled. You imagine it's another half day from there to the base of the mountain. Vale would know that most expeditions start and end at Caer Konig. It's at the base of the town itself, is at the base of the mountain, and most expeditions go there, get a drink in, refuel, have a hot meal, and then head out. And most
that's where I'm from as well, isn't it?
Most of the base camps for expeditions are usually within half an hour, an hour of the city, of the town limits of Caer Konig.
Okay.
Sawdust and Swearwords. The maps I am using, there is a big full version within the actual book itself, Rime of the Frost Maiden by Wizards of the Coast. I also picked up the Icewind Dale dice pack, which comes with this beautiful dice tray with the Frost Maiden sigil on the back, a full set of dice, and a smaller version of the map. On one side, it is Icewind Dale. On the back, it's a little map of all 10 of the 10 towns. It's just a smaller version of the one that comes in the book. But thank you for your question. I'll ignore the choice comments in there from creative partners of ours.
Also available on D&D Beyond.
It's nighttime, right? Right now.
It's always nighttime. It's approaching the start of nighttime weather conditions. It's probably approaching 5-6 p.m. equivalent, which, in terms of weather conditions, it may as well be nighttime in terms of like the I was gonna say the sunlight. That's a bad. The light is fading from dark to darker.
What were the options about the route? Sorry, I heard the.
You've got three different ways you could probably approach this. You go north or past Tourmaline, which is a big mining, prospecting town, and then you'd have to cut across from west to east to the other side of the mountain to Caer Konig. You go back all the way through Caer Brinchindar, up north, up through Caer Dinavel, up to Caer Konig, and then to where you're from and where you know the staging ground, the base camps are. Take the easiest side of the mountain, or you could just go straight cross country and cut a lot of the traveling out, but you would be going cross country.
Because of, like I said, it's only a suggestion, but because time is of the essence, I would suggest cross country if you lot are up for it. But if you're not, it's perfectly reasonable to take an easier route. Just bear in mind it might be slower.
I'm good for cross country.
I'm pretty easy.
Roll a wisdom check for me, please, Vale.
Which way were we told that he was going?
10.
We got
10. Okay. From your general knowledge of route taking, if you went up to Tourmaline and then across, it's the harshest way of approaching the mountain, and there's very little in terms of mountaineering on that side of the area. You can approach it cross country to the base camps, which is the most direct route, but also the most dangerous. Or you could go on the tracks and take the sweeping way around through the towns and get to the base camps that way. From your experience on the mountain, very, 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 very few experienced expeditions start from anywhere other than the Caer Konig side of the mountain. Not to say the other way is impassable, but it's not a proven route.
So it might be a good idea to stop by Caer Konig to see if he was seen, because he would have stopped there. I would assume the party would have stopped there before starting the climb.
Thank you, Ruffworx, for the bits. Appreciated. You're going to mark that down. You have a second reroll of the evening.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you very much, Ruffworx.
we might need it. I'm going out in the weather.
Yep, unfortunately so.
It's a bit nesh out.
Does the cross country way, does that still get us to Caerconic before we go up?
More or less, it just cuts maybe going the roadway. You're probably looking at a day and a half, 2 days on the roads. Cross country, probably half that, but it would be on uncharted open terrain.
Yeah. So I would still suggest cross country because of the time, but yeah, up to everyone else.
Ruffworx has commented the reroll is because he foresees some death saving throws here.
Yeah, we have no idea what you mean there. We don't have those words in our vocabulary.
We don't do dying.
No, definitely not.
And when we do, we don't have time to make a death save.
So, boy starts pulling you towards the edge of town, starts kind of whimpering upwards to urge some action out of you.
Let's follow boy.
Cross country.
Cross country.
Is boy kind of pulling that way?
Boy, this way, he's pulled you to the edge of town. He's kind of sat expectantly now, looking for your actions more than anything else.
Let's at least set off and see which way boy pulls us.
Can I give him the little thing to sniff on?
Can, and he just kind of takes it under his nose, kind of sniffs around, and then kind of barks a couple of times, kind of walks around a little bit, doesn't seem to pick anything up this far around. Okay. On your monumental animal handling roll, Vale, you probably get the impression he knows the way back home more than could then track 2 days' travel across open terrain to find. You imagine that if you were closer to Garrett, he may be able to pick up a scent. You're currently 2 days' travel away from him across open terrain. It would be very, very hard for him to pick up a scent from you.
So we need to get closer to where Garrett is as quick as we can.
Yep, go for it.
What's that, little Timmy? Garrett fell down a well?
Where did you say, boy? This way? Okay.
Yep, I'll follow you, Vale.
Yeah, quickest route, even if it is dangerous. We're hard as fuck, so let's do that.
Level 2.
Can I just say, some of us are still quite squishy.
You'd be right. Come on.
Laughs in shield-wearing goblin paladin. Don't worry, your tank's 3 foot. You've got this. All right, what's the plan?
Cross country, go.
Cross country.
Yeah.
Okay.
We want the Indiana Jones theme playing as we start walking.
If you are heading across country, please can I have whoever is taking point on navigating, can you make me a survival check, please? If you are trying to navigate through dark open tundra for probably 8 hours worth of open land travel in the dark.
How many rerolls do we have?
You have 2 rerolls.
Can I use one now?
You may.
I rolled an 8, which would give a 12, so I'm going to reroll
one
that.
Reroll down, you got one left.
One of the free ones, if that's okay.
I'll also make the DM rule now, you can't reroll a reroll.
Okay, so I could just use one now.
You can't keep using them until you get a roll.
What? I've done slightly better, I got a 15.
Okay. So, you head off in what you think is the right direction. You see the small, distant walls of Targus disappear into the darkness. And for the second night in a row, you are in the very cold, very quiet, very dark open dale. You trudge through the snow. There's a few times you are wading kind of knee to mid-thigh deep, elkish up to your waist almost, wading through the snow. It is hard work. It is hard going. It is cold. Every now and again, small showers of blizzards kick in for a few minutes, 10, 15 minutes here and there. The wind picks up across the dale. It's not called Icewind Dale for no reason. The wind picks up and just comes through, and a few times you just kind of brace yourself against the cold. You've lost all feeling in kind of your nose and ears, especially the elves. And you travel for what is half a day. You start to feel tired. It's starting to approach what you would know as kind of late evening. Now, you could choose to press through without sleeping. that has its own risk and consequence attached to it, or you would have to think about potentially stopping and making rest. I would also say all 4 of you have dark vision, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. So you can, it's not easy to see where you're going. It's hard going, and you've got, at this point, there is no landmark around you at all. You can't see any settlements. You can't see any trace of civilization. You are in the middle of there's just snow and then blackness in every direction for as far as you can see.
That's great.
I know we're in a rush, guys, but I think we need to stop. It's no good getting there and being too exhausted to actually help.
Mm.
I don't know about you, but I am broken.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna turn to Vale and go with what she is thinking.
Yeah, I'm going to say, as urgent as I feel it is, we are going to be of no use to anyone if we're exhausted. So I think a rest sounds like a good idea, and we'll try and make good headway in the morning.
Also, we know good to know if you freeze to death in your sleep.
How bad does it get here at night?
Just saying.
I know Vale is a master builder of igloos.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
Angie,
Has anyone got a tinderbox?
Angie, in response to your how cold does it get here, if you think that our water bottles are freezing, do you remember we're 70% water?
Yeah.
From all of your local
Just
knowledge,
saying.
I've done this before.
a lot of people in town have traces of historic frostbite and things like that. It's fairly common that people out and about in the wilderness, or people who don't take precautions, frostbite is common. People having hypothermia is common. People being found dead in the cold is common.
Say that.
I can cast frostbite. Does that give me a slight immunity?
That makes it worse.
Can I attempt to light a fire?
You may make a survival check.
I will cuddle boy.
Make an animal handling check. This is a wolf-sized sled dog.
Yeah.
It's twice the size of you.
7.
Okay.
How
As
long
good
would
as-
it take to build some kind of like shelter? Like I know if you actually stay in the snow.
Make a survival check. We're just going to see if Elkus gets eaten first.
Would using a reroll on a cuddling dog check be a way?
So those re-rolls you've used, one for getting lost, one for getting eaten.
Oh,
I mean,
oh
if it
dear.
stops you getting eaten, I'm all for it.
Or you could go with the solid 4 on the animal handling check.
Just hold on to that lead really tight.
You know, you could just do a dex save at that point. I'm guessing about how quick your reflexes are on getting
So
away
the
from
plus side,
your
we-
arm doesn't get ripped off.
We saved your husband. On the downside, we stabbed your dog.
Sorry.
You can't have it all.
This is why I can't have nice things.
Sorry, if it's between Elkis and Boy, I'm choosing Boy.
Well, you know-
Wow.
Don't touch the dog.
All right, guys.
Don't touch the dog.
So, Elkis, what are you doing? Make a decision.
I'm going with a 4.
Okay. We'll get onto that in a second. You guys, Celine, what did you make in your survival roll, please?
What am I? A survival?
A survival roll, yes, to see how well you'd be able to put together a shelter.
Shit. Really bad. 6.
A 6.
Reroll.
About as
Can we
good as my
re-roll that
fire, I
one?
think.
You can reroll whatever you want.
We need to stay alive
We
tonight.
kind of need to stay alive, yeah. I'm gonna re-roll that one. Thanks for the re-rolls, guys.
Please don't let us
Oh,
die.
thank God. Okay, 17, 19.
That's a lot better. Okay, I am aware, by the way, my camera is lagging out. I can't really do anything about that without wrecking the UI, so you just have to deal with me in 4 frames a week. Hopefully the audio is still fine. If you guys on the stream could just confirm that the sound is okay, that's the important bit.
I've got you sounding all right.
You're on
Don't know if that
direct.
counts for anything.
Audio's fine.
Huddling
Cool. So
round
the
an
audio's
Eldritch
fine.
Blast.
Okay, so Celine, you pull together. There's a couple of old ferns or small like bare trees that you managed to pull together, kind of a lean-to shelter. Fairly good. Pulling in from your skill set of previous days gone by, you pull together a fairly respectable shelter. We'll keep the snow and the worst of the wind off of you. Vale, you struggling to light a fire. You pull some branches together. It does take you a little bit of time, and it's not the most impressive fire in the world. You manage to get at least something lit. Elkis, you attempt to cuddle the ginormous wolf sled dog. You kind of cuddle up beside it, this tiny little goblin. And you kind of nuzzle up to it. You kind of put your hand out and try and pat him on the head, and he does lash out at you and snap at your hand. And you will take 4 points of piercing damage as he bites you across the arm and kind of butts your hand away.
No roll to attack?
No!
Not this.
Sorry, I didn't mean to shout.
4 points of piercing damage, and he kind of butts your hand away and kind of scoots away from you.
Can I help with the fire at all? Help make it a little bit bigger? Not
How are
using
you
an
going to-
Eldritch Blast.
How are you going to do that? Eldritch Blast.
She's going to shout at it until it does what it's told.
How are you going
Roll
to
for intimidation.
You're not intimidating a fire. How are you going to try and make this fire more fiery?
Can I use a couple of supplies from my tinderbox, please?
Tinderbox is to get a small flame going. You have a small flame going. Tinderbox is for lighting a fire more than... It's not that you're carrying around half a jerry can full of petrol and half a tree.
But
It's
why?
literally like some sawdust and a flint and steel just to get the initial flame going.
It's actually dry cloth soaked in light oil.
It's whatever your tinderbox is. More than one way to run a tinderbox. I prefer sawdust and flint and steel because it doesn't run out.
I may actually take a leaf out of the page, a page out of the book of Ruffworx, and I'm genuinely considering an Eldritch Blast.
I'll just blow a hole where the fire is.
But then there'll be more flames.
Don't be bringing rational thought into this. I'll just see where this goes.
I'll just be a creature where
Aim
my
away
fire
from
was.
the igloo.
Do you know
Yeah,
how
no-
hard it was to make this fire?
Can we just go in the igloo, please, and bed down? No Eldritch Blast in the fire, please, Adri.
Don't worry, I probably wouldn't be able to actually hit anything anyway, so it's fine. Every Eldritch Blast that I've tried has epically failed, so...
You currently have a small fire that just about gives a brief fleeting memory of being warm, and a
Nice.
shelter that is probably the only thing keeping you from risking your health or being in these sort of conditions.
Can I call over to Celine and say, have you got any
It's gravy
spare
time.
dryish wood from building the shelter that I could possibly toss on the fire to get it going?
Think I do? Yeah. Grab some
There's a-
whatever little scraps.
There's a little bit. There'll be some bits there.
DM, do I
Okay,
have
look at
to acknowledge what Sawdust and Swearwords has just posted for the 200 bits?
You don't
Do I
have to. That's your own choice. I think you've done a. Have they given 200 bits? Or are
They
just...
have. I am going to save that Eldritch Blast reroll for when I use it.
Okay, so you've been given
Clever
sort of
girl.
swears.
Violent
Thank you
then.
very much for the bits, encouraging poor life choices. I approve. Okay, guys. So can you make one final survival roll with advantage, with between giving the excess materials that Celine has salvaged to try and get this fire being a little bit more
Roll it on the
fire-like.
table. First one is a 14. Second one is a 7
What's your survival bonus?
plus 4, but I've added it on.
Okay, it's better. It's not anywhere near as nice as what that tavern was you're in earlier. You're out in the inky blackness with nothing but the wind howling through, with your meager fire fighting against the snow and the ice, and your little lean-to as you pull your furs and things down and do the best to try and get some rest.
But we know we're doing the right thing, so it's fine.
Meanwhile, somewhere up a mountain somewhere,
My hand feels
Are we
warm.
gonna do a watch overnight?
I think we should.
Yeah.
We're out in the middle
Definitely.
of nowhere.
I'll take the first watch if you want.
I only need 4 hours, so how long is your first watch going to be?
How long are we sleeping for?
I don't
DM, long rest.
Long rest is 8 hours.
Let's do 2 hours, no, like an hour and a half each or something like that. It's fine.
Okay, can I take third watch then, please? Because I get in my full 4 hours and then I'm okay.
It's assumed that with a long rest, each of you could take a 2-hour rest, a 2-hour watch over the course of the night and still take advantage of a long rest.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Okay.
I'll take
Your
first.
long rest is you sleeping, but also just you can be awake for a couple of hours, provided you're not actively doing something.
Pray we don't get murdered.
I'll
Always.
take if anyone wants me to, I'll take second watch. If no one's called it.
So who's taking
Call
first
first?
watch?
I'm taking
good.
first watch.
Okay, she is. I'll take the last.
Who's me? Sorry, was that Vale?
Bale, yeah.
Make a persuasion. Persuade nature
Please,
not to kill
please
you.
let me take the first watch.
Please let me not die. Try a perception check. Oh, I get some better with disadvantage because it is night, dark.
First
No,
one
never
is-
mind. No, you've got dark vision. You
Yeah.
go right ahead and make that a straight roll.
Oh, nice. 22.
Okay. You spend your shift. It is quiet. You just hear the occasional soft snoring from a few of your party members. Might be the dog. Who knows? Yeah, it's dark. It's quiet. It's isolating, and it is bitterly, bitterly cold. It's you look out, and no matter which way you look, within 60 feet, there's nothing. It's like you see the snow on the ground go from white to grey, just to inky blackness. It just goes on for what is forever. This little isolated, kind of little tiny circle of light that the fire kicking out, and then just nothing.
It was like home.
Who's taking second watch?
Elkis, I think.
Okay. Make a perception check.
Persuasion check.
I am going to use this dice, which belongs to that rug from that other thing. 18.
Okay. Yeah, same sort of thing. You spend. It's the first time you've kind of been out on your own as such, like overnight, with it feeling this isolating. It is just kind of like feels like it's a pressure bearing down on you from like every side, just because of how on your own you feel. It is cold. It is hostile. You don't know what's out there. Yeah, you're okay. You don't spot anything that causes anything to worry about necessarily, but you don't know what it could be out there. It's very, very difficult to see. Just bear with me 2 seconds, please, Elkis. Just wanted to check something.
Surprise round. We get murdered by bandits.
Elkis has to fight off a horde of barbarians on the
Pokemon battle music starts.
Warhammer's out.
God.
Alright, it's going to be 2 seconds.
We wake up and Boy has eaten Elkis.
Good thing is we don't need to feed the dog anymore.
Well, win-win, I think, personally.
Well,
I joke. I'm sorry. I'm just bad at joking.
well, do you know the scene from that theatre play called something like Starfights, where it gets warm inside the thing?
And you make me, Elkis,
Yep.
a charisma saving throw, please.
Charisma.
Yes, please.
Who was charismatic? The pink one. That would be a charisma saving. Did you say? Sorry.
I did.
Modified 20.
Okay. Alright, your watch finishes without incident. Who's taking the third watch?
That would be myself.
Okay.
Poke
Make-
Adri with my foot. Your turn.
Make your persuasion. Persuasion. God damn it. Make your perception check for me, please.
Please
That-
don't come and kill us, bandits.
That is a 24.
Okay. You your watch is weird. So for the
Well,
most
that's never
part, it goes uneventful. You don't spot anything directly, but you do see the similar effect of the blackness of the sky take on a fresh green ambience, which then spreads across the sky, and kind of leave this like teal, almost aquamarine-y green shimmer across the sky for an hour or so during your watch.
Would I recognize it?
Make an Arcana
with
check.
it? Thank you.
It's a gigantic eldritch blast.
Ooh, that would be a lovely 24, please.
You
Arrow.
So, I don't know what that squeal was, but
you don't recognize the magic.
Excited.
You don't know what the magic is. You don't know what the source of the magic is. It's not a magic effect that you have ever seen or are familiar with. However, you feel a strong sense of connection to it.
Oh, this bitch has had to kill me. Okay, thanks.
You feel the night of your family's event. You feel that similar sort of feeling in kind of the pit of your stomach as it fades, but you feel a sense of connection to whatever that magic is.
Did it feel close?
Didn't feel close. It just almost as like.
Can I make a note of what direction it was kind of coming in?
It didn't really have a direction. You just felt it kind of in the pit of your stomach, as like just like almost like a very, very, very slight, just dull pulse.
Does it feel like anything like my dreams?
Similar, in the same, not identical, but in the same family of feelings, shall we say?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Cheers, Astrodel. Enjoy your Div 2 game. Thanks for dropping in. Okay. Adri's watch ends without too much incident. Other than that, you wake up
Emotional incidents.
fairly stiff. You wake up like it's not the best night's sleep you've ever had in the world. You are freezing cold. The fire has burnt out through the night. There's some embers. Boy's kind of sniffing around, eager to head off.
Is Celine not doing a watch? Did we wake up before that happened?
Oh yeah, Celine, make a persuasion. Oh!
Big chop of liver.
This is why you don't DM on a Friday night, kids. Oh.
Persuade.
Make a perception check for me.
Perception. 16.
You're eaten by bears. No. You take over the shift, and you get the feeling with Ardry that, other than stuffing her face with what appears to be a monumentally good-looking kebab, you get the impression something's not quite sitting right. Like something seems to have spooked her. There's no sign of any danger, and throughout your watch, nothing. Again, you get that reminder of just how in the middle of nowhere you are, and that there's just nothing. It is silent, and you can hear your own breath, and just see like the plumes of breath vapor, for lack of a better phrase. And it's
I'm not spooked. You're spooked. There's nothing wrong with me.
There you go. But yeah, like
Scoopy.
it's a bit of a weird vibe off Adri as she heads off to bed, and yeah, you just kind of contemplate. You see sitting alone in the darkness for a few hours with your thoughts, but your watch does pass without incident.
All right.
Now do we wake up?
Now, as we copy paste, wake up. It's cold. Things are bad. Dog sniffing around. We're back.
I shove a ration down my face.
Face.
As in my mouth. Not just wipe it around my face.
Okay.
Absorb it through osmosis.
Wear it like a hat.
Mm.
The morning is yours. would you like to do?
Stretch.
Run.
I'm wondering if it would be a good idea to probably maybe dismantle the camp.
That's a
I'll
very
look
good
over
idea.
to Vale for that one.
Yeah, I
Was she-
agree.
Dismantle it, bury it under snow. Be buried under snow. Soon
Yeah,
enough
I'm gonna-
anyway, once it's going down.
Kick some snow over the fire, bury it.
Just toss the little remnants wherever I can. Kind of disperse it like randomly all over the place from the branches and stuff that we built the igloo with, and hopefully the snow will cover
Make a
up any
survival
tracks.
check.
I can Eldritch Blast it. That gets
Yeah.
rid of evidence.
20, not a net.
Okay. You spend a few minutes hiding to the best of your ability any evidence that you were there, and it looks pretty much as you found it.
Do we have any of the rations that we got from the camper left that we used to feed the bears? Because I'm sure Boy would be.
They are still in the caravan where you left them.
Oh, did we not take them out? Okay, I'll toss some rations to. Oh, I think
I took out some jerky.
You did. You
Mhm.
did. Human rations, yes, you'll have taken. Anything like animal rations, you'd have kept there for the bears because you had no reason to take them with you at the time.
I
Okay,
picked up
well,
some of the dried jerky because it like.
You could give him
It's
some
something.
food like that.
yeah, give some to Boy, if that's okay with you, Edgy.
I throw Boy some food because he is cute. I don't go near him because I don't know this dog. I don't want to get bitten.
And you see
I'm
sort of
squishy.
Elkis nursing a dog bite on his arm. You will have healed that up over the long rest, though, Elkis.
Thank you. I still have all my fingers.
All 4 of them. I don't know how many fingers goblins have. That's one to Google later. Anyway,
8, I think, on each hand.
he's from Norfolk.
If my dad's watching, he's from Norfolk. That was just for you.
Right. So, what's the plan?
Eat and head out. Does that sound good to everyone?
Nice leisurely breakfast while someone's freezing to death on a mountain. Sounds good.
Yeah, pretty much.
Fantastic. Just
Bit of a free coffee refill. It's just take it easy.
Yeah.
Just as a fun bit of information, it turns out that on average, goblins have 6.6 fingers.
There you go. There you go.
Just in case you weren't sure about that, 6.6 fingers average. Just
Per hand or in total?
it does not clarify that too
I think
much.
that's in total. Anyway, moving on.
Let's get going and eat some rations as we head off.
No comic relief to break up the crippling aloneness. Thank you very much.
Ba-doom-cha.
Yep.
Let's go.
We ride. Or walk.
At dawn, we ride.
How is the weather this morning?
Cold, really cold. The fire.
That's
Just,
it.
most of your stuff is freezing cold, and it's frosty, and everything you touch is freezing cold. Like blades are Arctic, and if you don't have gloves on, you'd stick to them. But the fire has more or less kept everything vaguely okay.
Well, we're not in a horrendous blizzard, so yeah, that's fine. Let's
Yet.
trek on.
Don't give him ideas, Celine.
You're not in a horrendous blizzard yet. Okay.
Onwards.
Yep.
Brave
Make a survival
adventurers.
check as you're heading out into darkness once more. I say morning, it is still jet black. It is still pitch black outside.
10.
Okay, you head off in what you think is the right direction. You travel for what feels like forever. You're trudging through the snow. There are a few times that you kind of start second guessing yourself and you see tracks in the snow that you, for a split second, you kind of panic and think that they're your own and that you've doubled back on yourself. Before kind of realizing they're not, they don't match your tracks, you're not quite sure what caused them. You travel for what majority of the morning. The kind of night fades to this kind of twilighty, what you would consider daytime. It's still very overcast and it's still dim, but it's what you know to be the small window of brighter light. Probably around mid-morning, and probably pushing early afternoon, you do spot cresting over the hills as the terrain gets slightly more hilly and more rocky. As you travel a few times, you stumble over rocks. The weather stays dry, but the wind picks up as it's sort of coming through the valley to the side of the cairn. You do spot in the distance, across to your right, what appears to be a settlement. It does appear to be the very distant site of your hometown, Caer Konig, at the base of the huge towering peak of Kelvin's Cairn in front of you. Probably the base camp area you feel is probably maybe 2 to 3 hours of travel ahead of you. Caer Konig is off to the side. It'd probably be 2 to 3 hours off on a different angle. So you could carry on going straight towards the base camp or turn off and head out towards Caer Konig. And by base camp, I mean just like a staging area where people are typically camping before they head up.
Yeah.
There's no formal structure there. It's just a known starting point and a route that you are familiar with.
What do we think, guys? We can either carry on the route we're going and kind of get to the base of the mountain, or we can go to my hometown, which is Caer Konig, but they are in sort of not the same direction. We'd have to detour to get to Caer Konig.
Konig's closest to the cairn, but it's still from where you are. Caer Konig and the base camp's kind of north, whereas the settlement is more northeasterly.
Okay.
Do we have any reason to go to your place?
The only reason would be to stock up, maybe.
Or to see if he went there, but
Yeah.
do we think he'd have just travelled straight to the staging area? Would he have had reason to visit the town?
Not
Most-
really.
Most people start in the town, is that right, Rob?
There again, sorry. Yeah, most people will travel by road to the town. They would then stock up, head over to the kind of staging ground, which is where then they'll either meet like their expedition leaders, or they'll camp, or they'll check supplies, and that's kind of their start and end point of the actual route up the mountain. It kind of marks where the terrain stops being flat and starts being mountain.
It might be worth a quick visit to the town then, just to see if he arrived there.
But
Yeah.
what do we class as a quick visit, and who would we speak to see if he was there?
You
We
are
really don't have the time to be able to go in there, walk around for a couple of hours trying to figure out who's seen him and who hasn't, to then
Okay.
go and find him.
If he was there, he would have ended up at the base camp anyway, I'd assume. Because he would have gone from one to the other. So I don't know if we want to cut out the middleman and just go straight to the base camp, or if we think it's necessary to go to the town.
Or base camp have any supplies there?
Rob?
Vale, you know from the base camp there is a couple of kind of crudely put together wooden shelters. There is usually a couple of fire pits that are kind of semi-permanent rock installations, and that's about it. It's just literally a known meeting point and marks the start of the ascent, where rather than any formal settlement.
Vale, is there any gate guards or anything at the town that might have seen him? Or the general store, I'd assume, is where you'd go straight away to get your supplies.
Yeah. Rob, is there a guard of the town?
Of Caer Konig, no, there is no. It's not a walled settlement. There is no standing militia. The only people you would be aware of any note is usually the town speaker, who, if I just quickly check my notes just to make sure I get the right one. Caer Konig is it is the gentleman that you've been mentioned before. It is Tarbos, the person that Ethan mentioned earlier. The gentleman who's been ranting on about ghostly spirits stealing from him.
So if
You
we were
would
to
know
go...
him to be a silver dragonborn who is often not without drink in hand and is seen by many of the town as a bit of a drunken fool.
Massively neurotic by the sounds of things.
So I definitely know him.
So there's no immediate person that we'd be able to talk to find out if he made it to Caer Konig. So we should it
The
would
only
take.
the only person in town traditionally that would kind of know that stuff is you.
So it would take some time asking around, and that could take Lord knows how long.
The
to
reason
find out
you
if he's
left
in here.
town to go to Bryn Shander is because there was no one needing expeditions. There was very little work. So all that kind of industry has been dead for months. So you're not even sure who would know or even who would still be working in that world.
Time for base camp. I suggest we go straight to base camp. We're losing too much time.
It is the most northernly settlement out of all 10 towns. It's right up next to the cairn, and for that reason, a few people start migrating to towns, and that's getting less and less trade. It is a steadily declining town.
The only way I can see this working is that if we do end up going to town, we go straight to somewhere to get supplies, because if they'd gone there, they would have gone to get supplies. They would be the person to talk to. And then as soon as we get supplies, go. No 512 fucking questions. We go in. If we can't get answers, cool, no problem, we leave.
What kind of supplies do we need?
Food? We only have rations for right now, and even then, it was
You've
only...
got enough, you carry enough on you for like a couple of days.
Yeah, and I'm sure
between
myself
the
and at
five
least,
of us.
I'm sure myself and at least Celine would be able to hunt if necessary. I do know these parts quite well.
Okay.
If we have a spare sort of hour or two, I can go hunting. It's fine.
Likewise.
Yeah, the expert Vale.
I mean, I'd say to save time, we go straight up to the base camp. I don't see what there would be for us in the town in terms of information about him, because he would have come to see me, basically.
Okay, cool, no problem, let's go.
Yep.
Just give me a second. Just trying to get you a figure for how long the actual climb up the mountain is. Because you would know that. You would estimate, based on the route you took from the base camp to the most common peak, most of the actual top of the mountain is very, very hard to get to, and only the most experienced mountaineers seek it out as kind of a mark of honor. Most of the tourism is to one of the spurs and one of the higher points that offers a fantastic view under normal weather conditions and daylight across the whole of 10 towns and the 3 lakes. That is approximately 8 to 10 hours worth of trekking up the mountain.
Okay.
Each
So
way.
We don't know at what point he's reached the whatever sort of stitch he's in, if he's in any danger, so we don't know if he made it to the peak. So I would suggest just starting and hoping that we find some sign of him along the way once we've been to the base camp.
Sounds good.
Okay, you head to the base camp. Okay, over the next couple of hours, you do make your way to the base camp. There is a couple of wooden lean-tos that are made out of trunks that have been wedged into the ground and form windbreakers. Make investigation checks, the 4 of you, please.
That is a 5, DM.
No, 8.
13.
12.
Okay. You see evidence of what appears to be of a camp made within the last few days. Other than that, there is not a lot else here. There are no tracks. Fresh snow has fallen. There is no signs of life. You're very much alone out in the wilderness still.
So we know that the people that he was with were sort of like made as relic hunters, like maybe looking for something slightly out of the ordinary. They're not just tourists. Would I know of the specific route that they might have taken to find what they're looking for these lost sort of towers and stuff? Because I don't know if it would be along the route of just getting to the first peak.
Make a single survival check for me, and what I'm going to use this for is just a general understanding of how well you remember the routes offhand. Your
18.
Okay, yeah, so you're familiar with a few routes. Typically, the standard ascent up to kind of... there is a standard route. There is a typical route that most people follow. It has got treacherous over the last few, like kind of half year. Some of the path has crumbled. Some of there's been sort of avalanches and rock falls and seismic shifts, and the paths aren't as well managed or as well traveled as they once were. So it is definitely more treacherous. But you are aware of it. There is a route that you can remember that will take you to the main kind of plateau, if you like, where a lot of the tourists head to, before then deciding to come back down or to continue further up.
Okay, but I don't remember anything about any kind of towers or what the mages might be looking for.
Make a history check. Is there a history check?
Yeah. 19.
Okay.
With no modifiers, I've got +0.
You personally are not aware of anything.
Okay.
You have heard in the past, years ago, just in the back of your head, this one little memory just creeps in, that there was an expedition that went out further north than the Cairn, to the very, very north of the Ragged Glacier. You heard about it because at the time no one went that far. No expedition leader would go that far, and no expedition leaders that you know of would take the job. In fact, they all strongly suggested against it. You are aware that a group of mage types were supposedly heading off to the glacier in search of a lost city. You don't remember any names, you don't remember any locations, you don't remember what became of them, if it was successful, but it's just that, like, yeah, I've heard about something lost before. The wizards, the mage thing kind of sparks that long distant memory of, oh yeah, there was someone asking around that a couple of years back. I wonder what happened to those guys. That sort of thing.
Okay, I'll share that information with everyone. And kind of just suggest that I guess we take the most common, the normal route to start the ascent and see what we find. But just, I've got that inkling in the back of my mind that these people are maybe on that same quest to find this lost city.
Interesting news.
Hey, what's the plan?
Carry forth.
Carry forth.
Carry forth.
Okay.
Everybody's okay with that?
What marching order we take in? The path is treacherous. Some areas of this are going to be single file, and it is going to be hard going. I need a running order, please.
Phil, would it be best to go first, or?
Yeah, I'll go first.
I'll go somewhere in the middle, probably like third.
I cover the back in case I need to leap for somebody.
I'm second then. And Boy is up front.
Yeah.
Boy, at this point, will kind of be alongside the ranger who befriended him, and not the goblin who doesn't seem to like.
It's not fair. Elkis likes dogs.
Dogs don't like Elkis, turns out.
Yeah.
Okay. You head up. You start the path. The wind, the snow, the general weather conditions have all but obliterated any tracks that may or may not have been made. There is no signs of tracks. There is no signs of life. There is a couple of trail markers, which are old, kind of weather-beaten wooden spikes driven deep into the ground with sort of tattered cloth flags fighting against the wind. You can hear that wind whipping past them as the noise cuts out. Once you start going up over the next hour or so, the wind starts picking up. You're very much exposed to the elements. It is cold. You're walking into the wind. You can start to feel your calves tighten up as the ascent starts to take its toll on you physically. It's pretty difficult going. There are areas where the path has crumbled. You have to kind of go single file. About 3 hours in, you kind of stop and just kind of catch your breath for a second, and there's the first sign of life that you've seen in quite a while. There are some goats some mountain goats that seem to be perched in the way that goats do at an odd angle on the rocks, bleating and just sort of seem to be scrabbling over some sort of dry plant material. And it's just kind of this weird sense of, oh yeah, things are alive out here. And it's just kind of like almost just a nice moment where you can kind of see nature and things that are still alive, and there's another living creature on this mountain that isn't necessarily trying to murder you as these creatures go about their business.
Yet, we trust ghosts.
Okay. You continue up just past the goats. You come across this huge, almost like plateau area. It's kind of, you know, you're probably about 2/3 of the way to the staging ground at the first like major break point. Between you and that, you see this bank of just pristine, crisp white snow. You know, like when you wake up on a winter's morning and no one's walked on it yet, there's not a mark on it, and it's just crisp.
Oh god, that's satisfying.
There is just this big blank, maybe about a couple of 100 feet of snow. It's just like this white pillow to traverse.
I don't trust it.
Does it look like remnants of an avalanche or some kind of snow slide or something?
I mean, there are evidences of rock falls and avalanches all over the mountain. Snow builds up in shifts. There are sloped areas. There's piles of snow that's built up and fallen off. The whole mountain looks like a risk.
yeah. I just didn't know if it was if it looked out of place. Like
it doesn't look out of place. It's just it looks like a potentially treacherous part of the mountain.
Mm.
Make a survival check, actually, on that one.
Oh. All these survival checks. It's a wonder I'm still alive. 14.
Okay. On a 14, you are aware that freshly fallen snow on top of freshly fallen snow is a major landslide / avalanche risk.
Okay. We want to try and skirt around this, guys. We don't want to walk directly on this. It could be very dangerous.
Should Adri Eldritch blast it?
I'm going to go with a solid no, but obviously she is of her own, will, and no one's going to stop her if she wants to.
None of you counter spell. None of you could stop her if you wanted to.
No one's going to. I don't think anyone would even try.
Sawdust and Swearwords, yes, all caps, exclamation mark.
I don't trust the freshness and crispiness of it.
Suspiciously crispy.
It obviously needs an Eldritch Blast to solve that.
What would be the likelihood of us getting out there unscathed if I did, perchance, Eldritch Blast it?
No idea. You have never Eldritch Blasted a mountain before.
I am asking Vale.
I think there is a strong chance that it would cause some kind of avalanche or landslide, snowslide, that could prove very treacherous for us if you did that. I would suggest on the negative.
What if we moved out of the way?
I don't think you can always move out of the way of falling snow with how big this mountain is. If you blasted it, it may cause a landslide further up as it vibrates and sort of shifts the snow. It could cause us a lot of problems. It might not just be this snow that moves. You could actually cause snow to fall on us.
I trust you,
would
Bill.
we die?
What's the plan, guys?
Cannot say either way.
Follow Vale.
I don't like this amount of faith that I have suddenly.
Heavyweight Gaming has posted all caps. Listen to the Mountain Ranger! Exclamation mark.
I am going to listen to the words of said ranger for now.
Wait, what's the plan? What are you doing?
I would suggest that we skirt round it and try and avoid it. Try not to shift or sort of agitate it at all for risk of causing an avalanche.
There is no, it's either thousands of foot drop off one side or sheer wall. You're going to have to cross it. It's how you choose to cross it and how carefully you'd like to try and cross it.
Oh, okay.
Stealthily.
One at a time, following in each other's footsteps.
We
like
have
you
rope.
like you do with landmines.
Rope. Who just said rope?
Rope chain.
Rope chain.
Rope chain tied together, but spread out, I want to say, so the weight's distributed more evenly.
Okay.
That'll
How
work.
far are you leaving between you on the ropes?
So 50 foot of rope, we could leave 10 foot between us, maybe.
Okay. So you spend the next 5 minutes or so. You veil at the front. You including Boy in this rope chain?
Yes.
Okay.
Of course.
Loop
Boy's
the
behind.
5 of you together around your waists, and you're all tied together mountaineering style.
Cool.
That sounds like the
are we-
style to do it.
Are we carrying anything with us? Like
Only your packs. You're not carrying anything in excess to what you would normally be carrying.
in our packs, in our winter gear, are any kind of like ice picks or anything for mountaineering? Is there anything in there that I might have missed? Like
If
even
you
just
have
one?
mounting picks in your inventory, yes. If you didn't bring any with you or buy any, then no.
I actually don't know. I have to check.
I'm going to take one very careful step onto the fresh, crisp snow.
It's
And I will-
safe for the sake of how gentle-footed you are going across this. Make a stealth check.
Just in case the mountain spots you.
Snow falls, you all dead.
Ooh, nat 20 with modifiers, 26.
Yay!
Excellent. You
Fly.
You're tabaxi.
Fly.
You are quite with feline grace. You step out and take a few steps, and there's a lovely, satisfying crunch as you go kind of up to mid-knee to the snow.
You do a Legolas and run across the top of it.
You get
I'll-
about 5 feet, and then the rope pulls taut.
Yeah, I'll beckon whoever's after me to sort of try and follow my footsteps as much as possible.
With the nature of you tied together, you will all have to move at the same time, otherwise it's not going to work.
Yeah, but
You're all
for them
tied
to,
together.
if I wait and for them to then step out onto
Sure.
it just as we get onto it.
Okay, and you want eventually all four, can the other 3 make stealth checks for me, please?
That's a 9. And
I am
also...
gonna use a reroll.
He's, all right.
Damn.
How many rerolls do we have?
Not
Wait,
now.
This is the
That
last
was your
one.
last one.
Well, that was a nat 1, so
Okay.
Okay, you get the reroll.
I'm not gonna use that die. You're in
Wait,
jail.
was that the 200 from Sawdust and Swearwords?
It might have been the Eldritch Blast one, but I'm using it anyway. Otherwise, I'm falling off the mountain.
No, we
That's-
had one. We had another.
Roll
one,
it,
didn't we?
re-roll it. Celine, what did you get as well?
Well, I'm trying to figure out if I'm doing this right because I have a disadvantage for stealth, but it still says +2. Does that make sense?
It's disadvantage because you're wearing mail armor, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
So-
3, 5.
Okay, so you got a 5 and 9. What's your re-roll? Elgis?
19.
19 and
Am I rolling another one?
49, aren't you? You're fine. Okay, so you make your way across. It is tense. Each footstep. You've been gifted another reroll.
Yeah.
Ruffworx to give you another
Thanks,
reroll.
Ruffworx.
Just a couple of minutes. You start making your way across. You're quite light-footed, and Boy kind of looks hesitantly as he heads across. Not everyone is of lighter foot. And as you head across, hundreds of foot up the mountain, as you get just past halfway, you do hear the horrific crack sound that echoes across the snow and ice, following by a dull rumbling as you feel the ground around you give. And that's where we're going to pick up next week.
Oh.
Ah,
So this reroll that he just gave can go for next week, right?
I will say, as he's just been donated at the 11th hour, and Aidy's not here to chastise me, you can bank that one reroll
Cool.
to be used within the first 15 minutes of next session.
AD's already established saying they don't carry over. Check him.
oh.
I tried.
Literally in chat.
I
Could
tried.
I reroll my stealth?
No,
Not that it's gonna help, but
no, you cannot.
I Eldritch blast everything.
So, halfway up a mountain, some curious goats watching on. You hear the unmistakable crack and the rumble of something bad about to happen. And we will pick up, like I say, next week. Thank you very much to everyone in the chat. Some wonderful discussions about tea, which will always go down well. Thank you very much, Ruffworx, Sawdust, and anyone else who donated 200 bits to the channel.
Thank you.
Wonderful stuff. You helped them get through a night out in the wilderness without any of them picking up exhaustion or having any frost-related injuries without a fire.
Horrible.
You guys have made yourself, you are on Calvin's Cairn, you have made your way up the mountain, seemingly hot on the trails of mountaineer Garrett. And we'll see what unfolds in the next session.
I have a quick fact to share with you about goblins.
Okay, go ahead.
The number of fingers and toes on goblins varies. It all depends on how hungry they are and how well they're fed. So some of them may only have 3 toes because they're just hungry.
I have drawn Elkis, and Elkis has all fingers and toes intact.
You are pretty. You didn't grow up in a goblin community. You grew up in a civilized community.
I am an elf.
Just as a heads up.
It's why you don't speak goblin.
Elkis is an elf. He's just very short and a little.
Anyway,
green.
thank you very much, players. Thank you, everyone who watched, tuned in. As I say, if you missed any of the 3 episodes so far, you can find us on YouTube/Heavyweight Gaming. You can find us on Facebook and, of course, here on Twitch. If you haven't already, give us a like, give us a follow, give us a share on all our socials. If you have Amazon Prime and haven't taken advantage of your free subscription to your favorite Twitch show, you can use it for Heavyweight Gaming. Should you wish, just to link your Amazon Prime account to Twitch and give us the free subscribe. Doesn't cost you a penny and helps out the channel, helps us keep producing content throughout the week. I do not know the full schedule off the top of my head. That is usually AD's wonderful job. I'm sure all the details and the timetables and everything are on Facebook. We have a number of D&D shows, Pathfinder, Carbon, all sorts of stuff going on through the week. There's usually something on every night. So check out, see the other shows, support them as much as you've supported us. We've got Pathfinder 2nd Ed tomorrow night. And finally, we're on Patreon. Heavyweight Gaming, where they produce a wonderful webcomic with supplementary material for homebrew D&D 5th Ed content. Characters, traits, spells, magic items, and lore to use in your own games. Other than that, guys, thank you very much. We'll see you next Friday at 8 for episode 4 of Secrets Worth Dying For, our campaign into Icewind Dale, Rime of the Frost Maiden. Say goodbye, players.
Goodbye, players.
And we will